on here?
What did you do?
I mean, technology's not working for Jared. That never happens.
I'm trying to figure out.
That never happens.
How do I get in the chat?
Hello, Internet. Oh, yeah, I was going to show everyone how to use these things.
And then you...
Hang on.
Help!
I got it. Hang on.
Mom, I'm lost.
What?
You have to hit... And then you have to do this.
Mm-hmm.
That.
First, you got to do the thing with the other thing.
Oh, wow.
The other thing you can do, because you're probably going to want to do this, is we break off the tab and move it over here so it splits the
That's
screen.
how it works. I was going to ask how we could
And
do
then
that.
what I recommend is actually going into
What
this view.
bro?
Hey.
Oh, we're
And then
gonna
you
fight
can
over
just
the
kind of
tiny
move.
table.
Oh,
That is sick.
Well, I'm not going to have
Isn't that great?
this.
That's so cool.
It's
Sorry.
too big. That's
Yes.
There is a brilliant irony there in there.
Happens to the best of us.
Hello, Internet. Am I on?
How do I?
I should be. Hello, Internet. So we're just
shall I
troubleshooting
sit?
some Casper issues, which is what
Try to be on this side, because my...
I'm muting all of that.
Look into her face, determination in her eyes. She won't.
Yeah.
Yeah, Boba Fett
Yeah.
was his son.
Yeah.
So he has like half of his own DNA, at least, right? I don't know how that works. I've never met the spawn of a clone before.
Yes, you have. I'm right here.
Oh, hi. That explains
Man,
so
there
much.
are more of you?
I understand.
Or there's
Hey
more
guys,
half of you?
do we know what the crater is that Insight's landing in?
Jezro!
Jezro!
Insight.
Wait.
Oh, wait, sorry, wrong one.
Yeah, I thought
Insight.
that was Jezro's 2020 lander, right?
So Insight is not landing at a crater, it's
No.
landing in a plane, and
Yep.
it's landing in Elysium Planatia.
Elysium.
Gesundheit.
Awesome.
Dear.
And it's landing in a plane because you can't really do very good seismology in a crater.
Because the rains in Spain are mainly on the
Yeah.
plane.
Exactly.
Does anyone want to use a pencil with their iPad?
I'll give it a shot.
Cool. One.
Yes, can I get a 0.5 millimeter?
HB only, please.
See, what would be cool is if we could have like our images, our media images on the iPad, and then like stream us doodling on top of the images, so we can circle stuff and be like, and here's this, and here's this, and that can be full screen on camera. That would be
TMRO
cool.
Sports!
We actually kind of can. There you go.
Oh, thank you.
Anyone else? Pencil?
I don't
No?
know my rundown name or password.
You don't
Is it
remember.
an
good,
email
thanks.
address or just
I'm just kidding.
Oh,
What have you set up?
I can tell you.
Thank you.
Yeah, that is this one.
Just so everyone knows, we are almost certainly starting late. We have new toys.
Sorry, everybody.
We have new toys, and we're working on.
Weird. It's only flat on one
Christmas
side.
came early, everyone.
Yay.
That's not incorrect.
That's your username? Right there?
Oh, okay, cool beans.
You want me to hit that button right there to reset everything?
No, I think
also-
I know what it is.
You're welcome.
You did that to yourself.
I did.
Like legitimately did that to yourself.
Did.
So, for those who don't know, you can also. One of the things we can do.
I think it's appropriate that we're sitting next to each other.
Yeah.
Although I think it's weird that your shirt says more twice.
Yeah. Well, I mean,
I feel like it can either say
I'm gonna need to
no
reset
more
my
unicorns
password.
anymore or no unicorns
Before we do,
anymore.
this
I
is
don't know
the
why it says no
layout that
more
I kind of
unicorns.
recommend. It allows you to just really
anymore.
quickly and easily scroll
no
through
more
the rundown,
unicorns
so you can
or
actually figure out what you
no
like,
unicorns
what you need
anymore.
and where you need to go.
Cool.
And then
No
you can
more
also
unicorns
stuff
anymore.
So which one
So over
is...
here
Too many more.
slash.
You're being inundated with
Yeah.
unicorns. It's a little creepy.
That's what you actually want.
Just saying.
There you go.
Okay.
Why
That's
is
going
it...
to get you in there, and you need me to reset your rundown screen.
Okay,
I think it might
kicked out
be
of-
because this is from a British band.
Is it?
So it might. I don't know.
Is the name of the British band No More Unicorns anymore?
No.
Okay.
Damn it. I got kicked out of chat.
That's a feature.
Just thought I would be clear.
No, you're crystal clear.
Fantastic.
Type in whatever you want.
Okay, let's see here.
Does it have to
Our
have like, a
progress
certain
launch
amount
was
of-
beautiful.
Whatever you want.
Cool. Okay. Thank you.
Who am I posting as?
Just, you know, in case there was a question.
Damn it.
Pug luck already.
Why am I...
Come on,
No,
guys.
it's not punk rock.
It's not pug luck.
Retro.
Incorrect.
Did you want the rundown or do you not care?
Well, I figured I'm supposed to be focusing on media anyway.
Yeah,
Well,
that works. That works.
Right?
We're on the show, so who cares? Frankly,
Let
I
me
don't
do
care. I could care less.
Could you or could you not?
I could care more.
Or couldn't you? Oh, so,
I could care more. I could care no more
no
anymore.
more
Or
anymore.
which one of the
Sorry.
rundown creator views gets
Oh,
you
I'm
not
sorry.
the
It's teleprompter view.
teleprompter view?
Yep.
Awesome.
Is
Why,
it
hello-
spelled
hello,
more
chat room. So we've
unicorns? M-O-O-R-E? Unicorns?
Hello, Ireland. Sean.
But it's a.
Sean Connolly. That's one of the
is
most
it
Irish
like
names I've ever
unicorns
seen.
of the Moor then?
What, this?
The Moor unicorn. Well, no, they're asking, is it spelled more unicorns?
No, it's
Like unicorns of the Moor.
No, it's just.
No,
Just
more.
more.
No more
I mean, I was at
unicorns
the
anymore.
I was at the concert and I saw this shirt and I was like,
I mean, if I saw it, I would buy it too.
yeah,
Don't get
and
me
I
wrong.
was, and my primary thought was
Ben,
Lisa would love this shirt.
Thingy,
So.
what I'm saying, it's the wrong number.
I didn't do that. I'm sorry.
Hello, Switzerland.
So,
Is the
Sorry,
plural of
I should-
unicorn multicorn?
Lisa, let's only do
Why
the
is it not
let's ignore the
unicorns?
nameplates themselves and only do
It
the
is
coming up
unicorns.
one. What do you
I've
want the
never-
name?
Unicorns.
I've never-
Because
We
they
already
don't
have
have
the
more
nameplates, so-
horns. You have
Just more of them.
Okay,
unicorns.
I'll get the number updated.
Yeah.
No, my
I've
shit.
actually never had to explain this shirt. I think people just accept it for what it is.
I am with Carrie Ann on the confused about the
It's right. It should be like
multi-mooring.
no more unicorns or no unicorns anymore, but
Yeah.
no more unicorns anymore.
Yeah.
is-
I
It's like a
perplexed.
Is there
weird-
an option to reset the password on the chat?
Hello,
I don't know.
Ohio.
Maybe.
Hello, Newcastle upon
Tars.
time.
Or wait, what's my username?
Yeah.
You
Hello,
can probably-
Switzerland.
Jade is having trouble.
You can probably just log in as no one.
Newcastle upon
Okay, I will have
Ohio.
access to host though. Is that okay?
I
Polycorn.
can get you into hosts.
Hello, Yorkshire.
Okay.
Are there
Hello, Ireland.
Are there 4 of your men there? Or is it 3? I can't remember. 3
Okay.
Yorkshiremen? Or is it 4
Oh.
Yorkshiremen? 4 Yorkshiremen. That's the Monty Python sketch. So,
I went Shakespeare. I was like, they're like all from York for.
yeah, I got it
part of that.
confused with three Men in a Boat, which is a book I read as a kid. So. Sorry.
All the
Remember when I was
jokes
talking
is-
about how I'd never
Halifax,
Hello.
Nova
I
Scotia.
must have like missed like the last 5 minutes of my life. I just tuned back in and was like, wait, what?
Hello, Slovakia.
When you drink, you
Hello.
teleport.
Hello, Halifax.
I do. Apparently.
Halifax.
I've learned that.
Home of the Halifax explosion.
The one and only Nuki Brune.
Aw. All right, so
Hello, Ocean.
You fixed?
Waves
to
from
see ya.
Montrose.
Busy day on Monday, Ocean.
Okay. You in a good place?
Hello, Sydney. Hello, Pittsburgh.
Oh my gosh.
Do we
Want
have
me to
anyone from
Halifax?
Cleveland? Give me a reason.
Gosh.
Pittsburgh, you're on the line.
Happy in Paraguay.
All right, let me see your.
I want to be a blue piano for
You
Easter.
should.
Yes, split.
Czech Republic. Hello, Czech Republic.
So
In the
first
middle
thing
of
you're
Europe?
gonna do is you,
Came
I
back.
hope we know where the Czech Republic
West
is.
Virginia, Sweden,
Hello, Sweden.
Sweden.
Yeah. I've
Apple
been
juice
seeing-
for half price.
Oh yeah, you know, you
Hello,
betcha.
London.
Hello, Ukraine.
Ukraine.
From the Ukrainian.
San Francisco. What?
London in the house.
Yeah.
Madison,
Split
España,
it.
Poland,
Just take that. and
Oh
drag
my
it over
goodness.
there.
Maine,
Oh, cool.
Michigan,
Maine.
or Michigan.
Wisconsin with a
I'm gonna
G,
say
because that's the way you all say it.
Hello, Hawaii.
Wisconsin.
Teleprompter?
Beautiful.
Michigani.
Finland,
Hello, South
The
Africa.
plural of unicorn is narwhal.
Florida.
Austria.
Hello,
I didn't
Austria.
know what a narwhal was.
Hello, Toronto.
They are the Jedi of the sea.
That's what I'm saying.
Hello, Shakespeare.
I feel
Hello,
like-
Germany.
How do you
feel
not know
like-
what a narwhal is?
Hello, Australia.
Hello, Seattle.
Oh,
It's a
P.S.
very sad
we
life.
took Lisa
How we
Black
doing?
Friday shopping for the first time because, of course, the traditional
Hi,
thing
Latvia.
after your very
Yes.
first Thanksgiving.
Hi, North
Yes,
Carolina. Hi,
you-
Vietnam.
Hey,
Oh my gosh, everybody's
before
here.
we-
Hello,
Lisa,
Saudi
before we
Arabia.
start,
Black Friday.
What's up?
Hello, Stockholm.
Camera 3, this camera I think needs to tilt down a little bit. I think we've got to look like we're all like this. The other camera's okay, I think. I feel a little bad because I'm on all of the cameras and we don't have a camera operator.
New
Wisconsin.
York.
My ears just went way.
We got New York.
Did they do a thing?
Okay.
We got that. Luna.
This camera, we've got too much headroom. I think we just need to tilt it.
India,
I think
Anyone
Utah.
else's
tilt
ear
down a
just
little bit.
drop out?
It's a
Let's
horrible,
share.
horrible.
Hello from your mom's house. Hey, mom's house. Hey, mom's
It's,
house. How's it going?
the lock is on the side. There you go.
Ukraine, me unicorn.
Oh my gosh, I'm tired.
You need me to loosen that?
I'm making a man joke.
Wait, are you
no.
actually that short?
no!
Whoa!
Hey!
Whoa!
That was amazing.
Mr.
Wow.
Lisa got it.
Mr. Lisa.
Like there?
Where's the camera? Yeah, that's better. Maybe make. Yeah, it's fine. I'll just do this.
Hi from Wow!
I'm so glad there's a bunch of day job orchestra.
We didn't cover any of the cold open stuff, so let's
This'll be
just
fun.
awkwardly do it on the air in real time. It's going to be amazing.
I love it.
You're the commander.
Starting, yep. Starting.
I am the commander now.
Okay, are we good to go?
I think so. Let's do this thing. I should be
Are
recording.
we ever?
Are you sure that you're recording?
No.
We're gonna go check.
Yeah. That's not the wrong call.
Smart.
Oh, can someone tweet the show? Whoops. Hang on, I can do that. I think I have Twitter. Cause it is close to us. We like to move.
Come left to right.
We're good. We're
Not as
recording.
much as a spoon. All right, give me a second. Sorry for the late tweet,
Hello, the Exoplanets channel. Hello, Ben J.
but
Hello, exoplanets.
begin.
We're going to be talking about you a bit today.
Right. Whoops, I have to spell right now.
Hello, Kerbin.
Rebel Ace Friesland.
Classic.
I'm glad West Virginia has the internet too.
Live. Boop. Show has been tweeted.
Bing!
Back to my thing.
Bing!
Yeah.
Can
All
we-
right, let's do this thing.
Hold on, I'm
Oh,
going to
wait,
retweet it.
Hang on, you told me to only be in hosts, right?
Right. Right?
I think so.
that
No,
make sense?
I think so.
Right.
Yeah.
So you don't
Tomorrow
disturb me?
begins.
Today.
Today.
Just a
Just a little minute.
Cool. Hello from Ireland. All right. Cool.
Aw. Hello, YouTube. Hello, Twitch.
Great.
Hello, IRC.
Everyone ready?
See?
Yay!
We're exactly 5 minutes late. Let's do this thing. Rock. Welcome to Tomorrow, Orbit 11.46. We've got a roundtable. Let's go round said roundtable. Jared,
I've got so much exoplanet news. It's just,
exoplanet.
dropping planets left and right here. So,
Wow.
it's going to be amazing.
Jade,
Well, turns out Mars had a little bit of a tumultuous past, and we're going to talk about how it kind of overflowed itself at one point.
whoa.
Mars
Oh,
wet
no.
itself.
Sarah,
And Mars 2020 finally has a landing site.
and Mike.
Oh man, there's gonna be a bio 3D printer sent up to the International Space Station to start printing organs. I can't wait to talk about it.
That's crazy freaky. Sounds exciting. Stay tuned, citizens. Tomorrow begins right now.
Good morning. How's everything up in the sky?
A little awkward, but hey, it works.
It's natural.
A natural awkward? I said when we rolled the open, I said to the group, I was like, that was a little awkward, but it'll work. And Sarah says, we brewed it. Oh, we totally did. All right, let's get straight into it. Space Mike, you've got some launches. You had a few this week.
Yeah, we had a couple this week, and you're not gonna be happy about any of this at all, Ben. I'm sorry. Starting first off, we had a Long March 3B rocket that had a YZ-1 upper stage, or a Wangzheng 1 upper stage, which means expedition. This launched on Sunday, November 18th at 1800 Coordinated Universal Time from the Xichang Satellite Launch Center in Sichuan Province in southern China. Its payloads were 2 Beidou-3 navigation satellites, and these were 2 satellites headed for a medium Earth orbit and were designated M17 and M18, which means they're the 17th and 18th navigation satellites in China's network to go into a medium Earth orbit that are part of the 3rd generation of their Beidou navigation satellites. Oh man, and the Long March 3B is the type that has the 4 liquid boosters on the side of it, and everything supposedly with this launch went well, and it was nice to see a little bit more about the Wangzheng Expedition 1 upper stage and the way that they deploy their satellites. But moving right along, we have another launch from China, and this one was a Long March 2D rocket. The 2D rocket is only a 2-stage rocket and doesn't have any strap-on boosters at all. It launched on Monday, November 19th at 2340 Coordinated Universal Time from the Jiuquan Satellite Launch Center in northern China, and its payloads were the Tianji-1 technology demonstrator, the Jiading-1, also known as OKW-1, along with 8 kind of unknown satellites, and all of them will be headed to a sun-synchronous low Earth orbit with unknown parameters at this time. And not a whole lot is known about any of the payloads other than the OKW-1. It's the first Chinese communications satellite that's operated by a private company, a private Chinese company. And we don't know a whole lot about its capabilities either, other than that it's going to be providing services over China and whatever orbit that it's going to be placed in its sun-synchronous orbit. But moving right along, we also had another launch this week from the European Space Agency launching one of their Vega rockets. And this launched on Wednesday, November 21st at 1:42 Coordinated Universal Time from the Kourou Space Center in French Guiana. The main difference with this rocket as opposed to the Long March rockets is this one is solid fueled for the first 3 stages, and then the 4th stage is a liquid upper stage. And its payload for this mission was the Mohammed 6B satellite, which is an Earth observation satellite for the Kingdom of Morocco. It's the 2nd out of 2 satellites for the Mohammed 6 program, A and B, and the Mohammed 6A satellite was launched by Roundtable on November 7, 2017, also on a Vega rocket. And it's mostly going to be used for mapping and land surveying activities, regional development, and prevention and management of natural disasters when they happen, and just in general monitoring changes in the environment and the desertification over Africa. This was the 13th launch of a Vega rocket overall, and also is launching into a sun-synchronous orbit.
You know, what I thought was funny on the Vega launch is right at liftoff, there's like, they have this sound that sounds like an iPhone is lifting up, like the little iPhone, like bling, as if they set an alarm on their Apple Watch and be like, "Oh, remember, we're launching right now."
Yeah,
I enjoy it.
Looks like the Launchpad app has indicated it has left the Launchpad.
Exactly. And so the reason you said I wouldn't be too happy is because we have a dollar bet about what country will have the most launches in 2018. I said the U.S. You are destroying me right now because you said China. And give us a quick wrap-up of where we're at worldwide.
Oh, man. So right now, China is at 34 launches. Only 33 of them have actually been successful. They've had 1 failure. But right now, the United States is only at 30 launches so far for the year. One of them was a partial success, so we're counting it as 30. Russia has 15 launches. Only 14 of them were successful. But Europe is now at 7, Japan at 6, and India at 5, for a grand total of 97 successful launches from Earth.
I remain excited for the day I get to put Mars on the bottom of that graphic.
Yeah.
I also like Melon Usk's comment in the chat room says, "Hey Siri, ignition."
Yeah.
Hey, look, it actually kicked in.
I'm sorry, I can't do that right now.
I was hoping it was going to play the R. Kelly song, I'm not going to lie.
That would have been amazing. All right.
Maybe Alexa would do that one.
Alexa, ignition.
Everyone's Alexa in their living room right now is like, I don't know what to do. All right.
Bounce, bounce, bounce.
Jared, you said we were talking about this in pre-show, and there are lots of words you're about to use that I don't understand. So,
So here's me to explain them to you, Ben.
yeah,
All right, Ben.
This part of the show is just for me, so I can understand what Jared is saying. So give me a moment. Go, ready?
Do you want some? I was about to say, you want some words?
Yeah, get ready. Go.
Give me some words. So, lots of exciting exoplanet news this week. It was just literally like somebody opened the floodgates with all this new news that we're getting. The first that we got is a exciting mission from the European Space Agency called CHEOPS, which stands for Characterizing Exoplanet Satellite, and it is. I don't know where that acronym comes from.
I don't feel like that's a backronym either. I don't feel like they were like, you know what, we need to figure out how to call this thing CHEOPS.
Yeah. I think they just kind of just took.
Well, the thing is, otherwise you have like what? CES?
CES.
I mean,
So-
right. Like, you've got CES?
Yeah.
Chess?
All right.
Yeah, I
So
don't know.
CHEOPS.
I'm confused too. We found out.
We should just drop the whole backronym thing anyway and just start naming our satellites and probes cool names like we used to back in the day.
Well, and we kind of like.
Yeah, but you run out eventually. Like how many times can you have something that's named Challenger, or how many times can you have something that's named Insight? Like how many Curiosity? I mean, they're all great names, but like eventually, how many years down the road are you going to be like, oh, but this is like no, this is Curiosity Saturn or Curiosity Enceladus? Like you can only, you know what I'm saying?
Know.
Like,
I think there's.
Yeah, no, I get what you're saying. Yeah, I always like the Star Trek system of like Enterprise A, Enterprise B, but we usually launch like 4 satellites in a constellation, like this Mohammed 6 satellite that has an A and a B satellite. It's not that the B satellite is an upgrade of the A version; they're just
Right.
2 identical satellites, so we can't really use that system in real life.
I think we're running super off topic, but I do actually think what.
Yeah,
Mike
we
is
are.
saying,
Sorry.
No, it's all right
But,
because I think
CHEOPS.
what you're saying is.
CHEOPS is a cool name.
Yeah, but what I think you're saying is important. I think when we name things with something that the public can attach to, and it's not super complex. It's not CHEOPS, right? The public can actually understand it, and they can like say it, and they can remember it.
Yeah.
I think there is actually something to be said for that.
Yeah.
I think
Definitely.
It makes the mission a little bit more human. Okay, I'm sorry. So
Yeah.
we went way off track, but go
So
ahead.
we found out we got an official launch date for it for fourth quarter 2019, and CHEOPS is going to be looking at exoplanets nearby that are in a size range from Earth to Neptune sized. So that we're going to be keeping. So we're not looking for any all exoplanets like Kepler was. We're looking for exoplanets in a very specific range because we think that those exoplanets are the ones that are going to help us figure out how planetary formation actually occurs around other stars. And then what we can do, we can look at how planetary formation occurred there, and we can figure out, see how it compares to our ideas of how planetary formation occurred in our own solar system. See if they mix together. See if they're not mixing together. Kind of figure out whereabouts planetary formation is and whether our
Why
solar
is that
system.
important? Who cares how the planets form? Why does that matter at all?
Well, it does end up mattering because things like geology and other things that occur, like here in California, we're very much at the mercy of the geology that's happening with the Earth.
Yes.
Those things end up. You get constraints. You get advantages from certain things, and that's where planetary formation comes in handy. So you can figure out where would water be distributed in a solar system. Where would the ingredients for life, schnapps, where would the carbon, hydrogen, nitrogen, oxygen, phosphorus, sulfur, where would that all get distributed?
See, schnapps is a great name.
Yeah. So where would all that get distributed? And that's what this mission is answering. So it's going to look at existing exoplanet systems, and it's going to look at them in great detail and very precisely figure out the masses of those exoplanets. So, which is that's ridiculous.
So it helps us here on Earth by helping us figure out how Earth is going to react to certain things, or where we could potentially find water, or
exactly.
I mean, you brought it back to
Hopefully where
California.
the aliens are.
You said where the aliens are?
Yeah.
A lot of science is comparison. Compare and contrast.
Sure.
You take two things and you look at the differences between them. And then you figure out what overlaps, what doesn't overlap, and why do they overlap, why don't they overlap. So this is just essentially a natural continuation of studying the Earth, except we're now just applying it to other places. And then we can also take that and come back to us.
Okay.
So, yeah.
All right. I'd buy that.
Yeah. You buy that for $1?
I'm picking up what you're putting down.
Okay, very good. And then we also had another really great story from the Keck telescopes in Hawaii, which is that they've used a combination of adaptive optics that they have on those massive telescopes. They're 10 meters across up on Mauna Kea. And they also do high-resolution spectroscopy, and they do that with an instrument called the Near-Infrared Cryogenic Echelle Spectrograph, or NIRSPEC. So, which that's not as I don't even think that's as friendly as Cheops is. So,
actually, from the chat room, Jason Warren in YouTube says Cheops was a pharaoh who died in 2566 BC.
Okay, there you go.
There you go.
There it is.
And
that
that's
is
a
how
Cheops.
Well, and Space Bubble
Cheops.
says,
Cheops?
Cheops.
Okay,
Yeah, it
sorry.
says Cheops is like Cheops. It's the pharaoh's name.
Okay.
Okay, very, very cool. So, there you go. Very, very nice. Now back to that Keck story. This is,
Nice one.
so we've directly imaged exoplanets before, but we've always done it in invisible light, the light that your and I eyes can see.
Okay.
So this was the first time that we directly imaged an exoplanet in infrared light. And what that allows us to do with infrared spectroscopy is that we are actually able to figure out very precisely what elements and what chemical compounds are in the atmosphere of that planet. And they were able to find out that that planet, which, by the way, in this amazing sequence of images here,
What are we looking at here, Jared?
we're looking at actual light from those exoplanets as they go around their star, which their star is called HR 8799. So,
And this is infrared light.
this is visible light.
Oh, okay.
But the planet that we're looking at, which is HR 8799c, it's in the top right of this image right here,
Wait,
of those
Mike,
four
did you
planets
just say
there.
that's an awesome planet name?
Yeah, sorry, I'm being facetious.
No, I know. I was thinking the same thing, though. Like, you're not wrong. Oh.
Yeah.
And then when he said the planet's name is all those letters and numbers plus C, I mean, that's an even better name. That's great.
Obviously.
So the planet, it's 7 times the mass of Jupiter, and we found out that there's a lot of water vapor in its atmosphere, but there's almost zero methane in its atmosphere. So that tells us that life probably not there. So
Water there and life not there.
yeah, water there, life not there. And
Well-
it really is kind of follow the water with life as we currently understand.
There you go. You knew I was gonna.
Yeah.
We could water.
Yeah, you knew I was gonna push you on that one.
Yeah, just a little bit. So, I mean, we only have one sample size, and we know what works. So, because we've studied life here on Earth, and we understand the three things life needs, which is schnapps, liquid water, and a source of energy.
Sure.
So, be it sunlight, photosynthesis, or chemical energy with chemosynthesis. So, basically, just look for what you know works. Now, life could be radically different somewhere else, but we haven't found any evidence of that yet.
Because
So-
we don't know what to, I mean, that's not fair. We don't know what to look for.
Well, we do know one thing to look for, which is what works here on Earth.
Sure.
So we can look for that for sure.
I guess my argument is we know what to look for here on Earth, so we can try to find what we have here on Earth. But we don't know what to look for not here on Earth, if that makes sense.
Yeah, in
So
the general
how do you?
scheme
Yeah, I mean, this,
of the universe.
you're looking at
Yeah.
the chemical makeup of another exoplanet. Maybe there is life there, and we just have no idea because life is so radically different than what's here on Earth that we just don't know what to look for.
Yeah, absolutely.
We don't know what we don't know.
That's a risk that we're taking in hunting for life by basically staying here on Earth and not actually going to these places.
So you're advocating to go.
So we can, I mean, sure, if you want to go, if you don't mind taking, at least at this moment, tens of thousands, if not millions of years to get there. You know, so what's
I've got
what's a
vacation
couple
time.
what's a couple million years between generational ships and friends on there? So I mean, right. So, but you know, and not really until we basically find evidence for life in something that appears radically different from what we have here on Earth. Not many people are going to very broadly open up that because, like you said, we don't even know what a type of life radically different from our own would look like in terms of chemistry and things like that. So for now, because funding, basically, we use what we have here on Earth, and we try to look for that throughout the universe. But the nice thing about looking throughout the universe is that a lot of stuff that we find here on Earth that life needs, it's not rare to find in the universe. It's abundant. It's all over the place. Like water, we thought water was going to be really rare, but water's all over the place in the universe. I mean, you can the Orion Nebula, it has 1 million times the amount of water on Earth than in that in that nebula. I mean, it's just a tremendous amount of water. And we're also finding the Schnapps elements all over the place as well. We're finding them in nebulae. We're finding them in solar systems that are forming right now. So it's not like Earth is the only place that we find the stuff that we need for life. It's all over the universe, everywhere we look.
So knocking this off topic a little bit again, if we're finding the elements for life everywhere out in the universe, does that give a little bit of weight to the idea that maybe life didn't actually originate here and actually came from the universe and landed here? In that, like, it came from a meteor or something and it just smashed into the planet?
Yeah, potentially. I mean, you look at the study. Yeah, really good, Mike, panspermia, right? Did I pronounce that correctly?
Yeah.
Okay.
The idea that we came from Mars and stuff like that, the source of our genetic code might have come from somewhere else and isn't necessarily natural here.
Yeah, and you look at the studies that the European Space Agency did with Rosetta around the comet 67P, and they found amino acids in the comet. So it's not like everything was here on the Earth. Comets. Some people think of comets as like starter packs for life. They like deliver the water and the chemistry that you need in order to make life happen.
Yeah.
So they're like little doses of what you need for life, and then eventually the chemistry on the surface interacts with the chemistry that was delivered, and poof, there it occurs. Don't know how it occurs, but poof, poof.
That's how it occurs. Poof.
Yeah, exactly. So. And then we have another one where there was direct imaging of an exoplanet as well, done by the European Southern Observatory's Very Large Telescope. And this is Beta Pictoris B, which is about 63 light years away. Yeah, it's just great names today. It's about 1.3 billion kilometers from its star, so that means it's about as far away as Saturn is from our sun. And its surface temperature is about 500 degrees Celsius. So, yowza, that is a bit. But yeah, we're actually seeing it go across the star there over a couple years of data. So, which is just like amazing that we're able to do this. And we're starting to get better and better and better at directly imaging exoplanets. And
wait, that was imaged here on Earth then? So that used the where you account for the atmosphere and you
adaptive optics.
Yeah.
So and we're getting so good at it that we're imaging exoplanets directly from the surface of the Earth now.
Oh, that's really cool.
So, and what's really awesome, this is like the start for studying exoplanets in unbelievable detail. So these are like the first steps that we're taking in order to really look at exoplanets and hunt for life on these exoplanets as well. So this is like the moment that it begins. Like this is conception for hunting for life elsewhere.
Well, is there possibility we'll be able to find life just by looking at what we see through these atmospheres?
Absolutely, yes. I've even heard at some point in the next 5 years, and whenever the 30-meter telescope and the extremely large telescope, I can't remember the exact name of it, the 37-meter one.
It's probably called the extremely large telescope, knowing them.
Those actually...
Keeping it simple.
Yeah, those actually should have the ability to do spectroscopy, that they'll do it both with light coming through the atmosphere and light reflecting off of the surface of the exoplanet as well, because they're going to be so much larger than the telescopes that we have right now. And we really actually should be able to see it. Like a dead giveaway would be chlorophyll. If you find the absorption lines for chlorophyll, that's life. So no doubt about it. 100%, that's life. So that's like exciting to think about, that there's an actual thing that you can find that is basically like absolute confirmation that there's life there. So.
All right, before we move on, I'll throw it to the chat room. Anything interesting over there?
Yeah, a little bit. So a couple of comments talking about naming different probes. Lur suggested that we just call them things like Space Probe Bob.
Because might be a bit simple.
Yeah. DL Marty the Martian DOD says, sorry, America, but you don't have to name everything after an idea like Insight. Try other things like Fire Bison or Plasma Cow.
Oh, my God.
Fire bison.
Plasma Cow.
Yes.
Yeah,
right.
I think that's, kind of amazing all the way around. Kay McCoy was talking about how the signs for life question that you talked to Jared about says, this is a silly argument. We can only look for the life that we can understand. Obviously, there could be other kinds of life that we don't understand, but saying that we don't detect signs of life as we understand it is the best that we can do.
Yeah, that's a fair statement, right? I mean,
Yeah.
we're not going to be able to. We don't know what we don't know. But at the same time, it seems like we shouldn't say there's no life there because we don't actually. Do we actually know there's no life there? I mean,
it's just there's no life as we know it.
There's no life as we know it there.
Yeah, that's a good way to say it. I mean, that's why finding life on Mars is such like a huge thing, and specifically having a pristine sample if we do find life on Mars.
Which is something we're going to get to a little bit later in the show. Astro YYZ says, does this ground-based technology then mean we don't need to launch Starshade into space? And Lur had a
no, not at all.
Also, similar question saying, if imaging exoplanets from Earth is becoming easier, then how will the JWST or James Webb Space Telescope be better, or is it a waste of money now?
Well, no, James Webb Space Telescope is not a waste of money. Good Lord, it costs a lot, and let's never do that again. Hey, everybody, let's go back to management school. So it's not. James Webb Space Telescope is out of atmosphere. And it's built to such fine specifications because when you're in space, you can build to smaller tolerances than you do here on the Earth. Your telescope is going to go through, your telescope here on Earth is going to vibrate from the motors that are moving it to track. Your telescope here on Earth is going to expand and contract as it gets colder at night or heats up during the day. There's going to be like a thermal cycle for your telescope, and that'll change things just a little bit. Even the sensors that we use here on Earth, sometimes we're limited by what the amount of light that they can take because our atmosphere filters out certain kinds of light. So you have to have space telescopes because they're just the precision is just so much more exquisite. The ability to go down to really small resolutions with them is pretty much unrivaled compared to telescopes here on Earth. So it just does not get any better than a telescope in space.
Absolutely, yes. Since it's not sitting at the bottom of an ocean of atmosphere, you don't have to rely on adaptive optics to compensate. You're just getting the uninterrupted light.
Yeah. An ocean of atmosphere, I feel like, is like a really good way to describe it. It's as if you're sticking something at the bottom of the ocean and trying to look up.
Yeah,
I mean,
it's exactly
there's just
like that.
so much stuff in the way.
Yeah.
It's just really hard to do. I love that term, an ocean of atmosphere.
Yeah. It's not wrong. There's kind of there's a fluid, so.
I mean, it adds maybe kind of a random question here, but at what point can the public get involved with naming different stars and exoplanets to the organization that does that?
That would be I think the best way to do it, since the International Astronomical Union is the ones that do it, the best way to do it, to get involved, I would say, is to go to college, get a degree in astronomy, and then you get to join the IAU. So.
And then you get to name things. Well, you mean I can't just call up some random hotline and be like, hey, my anniversary is coming up. Can I name this star after my honey? And they're like, sure.
There's a website you can go to. You get a certificate and everything.
Are you their support? Like, do you work IT for them?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
I got 40 acres on the moon through that website, so I'm pretty happy.
Hey, wow. Good for you, man.
Also, is that a new background? Space Mike?
I'm sorry, what was that?
Is that a new background that you have behind you?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, that's Earth behind me there, and there's the moon. And,
This is Earth.
Wow.
Yeah.
And you're staying still.
So there's a little bit of delay, and I'm getting a little bit of signal interruptions, but otherwise things are pretty cool here.
Yeah. It's around the dark side of the moon.
So now it's the far side of the moon. So now that
well, he's very close to the limb based upon where the Earth is there.
Very true.
Yeah.
So. Careful.
All right, so now that we're on this side, Space Mike, you mentioned in the cold open a 3D bioprinter. Tell us a little bit about that.
That's right, yeah. I mean, if we're going to start going to crazy places and start colonizing places like Mars, we're going to need to have advanced technology. And we've talked a bit on the show about how space is trying to kill us in so many multiple ways. And at some point, when people are on long-duration space flights going to Mars or going to the moons of Jupiter or Saturn or even further out, especially if we get some sort of warp drive equivalent to go check out some of these far-off exoplanets once we do discover life or even conditions that we could potentially thrive in. There is an experiment that the Russians have created that's going to be launching into the International Space Station very soon, called a magnetic 3D bioprinter. And this is really cool because they're 3D printing organs and biomaterial, and they're really excited about this project because this is possible on Earth. We've already proven that we can print genetic material and biomaterial, and we can print organs. But the amount of energy and materials that is required to do it here on Earth is tremendous. I mean, some of the estimates are like around the amount of power it would take to power a small town. However, by launching it in space, they can. It's really crazy. Instead of doing additive printing, they're using a magnetic field as the print bed, basically, to make it so that they can inject the biomaterial, and it forms to that magnetic field that has been pre-programmed. And what they're going to start off with, they're just looking for really small samples at first. This is the 3D printer, and if you can see really, really tiny in there, it might have been cut off, actually. There was a little pin but you can see that, I mean, the size of the screws there. I mean, this is a really tiny device compared to the ones on the ground, and it's only taking a couple of watts. I mean, it's not very much at all. I mean, the amount of power at the International Space Station is about as much to power about 40 houses, and I mean, all the experiments are restricted to the amount of power that they can have. Oh man! And then here's the size of basically the filament, the genetic material that's going to be used to create these. And they're going to have GoPros on the inside to check it out to see how it's formed. And that's how it's done, is through a formative process. Instead of it being layers, it's all going to form to that shape that's growing around that magnetic field, and not enough to interfere with anything that's going on at the space station. But another reason why this is a big deal is because for people that here on Earth that might need to have a special case that need an organ donation, have a rare blood type or some sort of rare genetic condition or whatever, instead of having to wait for a donor to become available, one can be grown in space, and it can be done super cheap. Hopefully, that's what this whole thing is going to be testing out. And if it works, we'll be able to not only have organs for ourselves as a backup for those long duration space flights, because at some point, if you're on a mission for a couple of years, radiation or a whole bunch of other conditions is going to make your organs fail or have all sorts of different problems. It'd be so nice just to be able to print out a replacement for that, and as long as you have the skills and capability with your mission to actually perform that surgery, and that all might be automated. But another purpose for this could be food. We could be growing protein and like force meat, as they call it, space meat, basically, that we could be eating, and we wouldn't. I mean, just there's so many possibilities with this thing. And I'm just blown away at how small it is, and it's going to be launching on the Soyuz MS-11 spacecraft. That's going to be launching on hopefully December 3rd. So
there was a comment in the chat room that I was going to skip from Tickle Stuff, but you actually touched on it, and Tickle Stuff asked, "Will it print breakfast?" I think the answer is maybe, right?
Yeah, maybe. They're starting off with human cartilage and rodents' thyroid glands, just as really small experiments. But I mean, why not, man? I would love to start printing out bacon and slabs of steak and all sorts of different stuff like that. That would be amazing.
Westworld actually takes place on Mars, then. Is that what we're saying?
Yeah, basically.
Okay,
yeah,
just want to make sure.
You didn't know that's where it was? Oh, man.
I only kind of half pay attention.
Yeah, maybe you guys should have read the books.
Wow. Wow.
Peter Quinn in the chat says, bioprinters, isn't that just a protein sequencer? I mean, but this is a little bit different than that, because it's using, like...
Filament of what? That was actually my question. Do we know what the
I'm
filament
not sure.
is?
I don't know what the filament is. All I know is that it's some sort of genetic material. The company that makes it is it's a Russian startup that's a spin-off of In Vitro, and I'm guessing that that's probably proprietary because they didn't say what the material was or any other specifications other than the power of how this thing works. So I'm guessing that that's probably proprietary information, but I don't know.
Wow.
Yeah. I mean, the applications here are incredible, right? Because if we're going to do long-term missions to Moon and Mars, we're going to have health issues, and I assume that we can 3D print potentially like body parts as necessary. I mean, moving forward, not as the technology is right now, but we could use this as almost like a medical assistance or medical aid. Although, how long does it take to print something, right? I mean, there could be a potential issue there where, like, oh, hey, you know, kidney failure. Well, give me 3 months, we'll print you a new one.
No, kidney, I can personally attest that kidney failure can basically kill you in a matter of hours.
Yeah, so I wonder, but yeah, I mean, baby steps, right? We're not going to get everything all at once.
Absolutely,
but, this is going to be something.
I mean, just like 3D printers today, I mean, it all depends on how complex whatever it is that you're trying to print out is. So if you're doing something simple like a thyroid gland or something like that, you might be able to print that out in a matter of hours or maybe even minutes. Because the formative process for this, I don't know if you guys have ever seen those type of 3D printers where instead of having a filament that's in a spool, a wire that's then melted on the extruder, it instead has a platform where it has all the material that's melted in liquid form, and then it basically will using an electrical charge will form that whatever it is that they're trying to print and pull it out of that liquid material. Obviously, they can't do that exact process in space because that material would just be all over the place. And so that's why they're using a magnetic field to be able to inject, I guess, the material, extrude the material, if you will, to whatever the magnetic field is programmed for, I guess. So that's the type of process it is. Instead of it being a wire, it's more like pulling out the material out of a large material of it. At least that's the way that I understand it from the way that they described it.
You have a confused look on your face.
Me?
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
How is this possible? How are they doing this?
Well, so organs are cartilage. Cool. Organs are multiple types of tissue in one, right? So you've got the restraining outer layer as well as the stuff that's inside that does the work, right?
This squishy stuff, thank you.
Squishy stuff.
I mean, I went to college.
Dr. Jade.
At your service. Go on, I'll let you finish. Go ahead.
Thank you. So I'm wondering what the material is that they're starting with. I mean, is it just stem cells that are getting recoded as they go? Like, this is what we need this section to be? Because the 3D printer, whether it's extruded or pulled, extracted, it's all the same material, right? So it's just... I've got aluminum. I'm 3D printing with aluminum. I've got a resin.
A 3D printer doesn't need to be, right? You could think of it like almost an inkjet printer, which I realize is oversimplifying it. But, I mean, why couldn't you have different nozzles, so to speak, of different material? But you'd have to, like you said, almost print it in phases. I'm not sure how you'd be able to print concurrently. That kind of works with inkjet, but I don't think that works with organs.
Yeah, not with one nozzle at least.
Yeah.
I'm just imagining like that Fifth Element scene where they build Lilu from.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Right, we just get discs.
If we go back to the image of the printer real quick, and you see all the different black like rubber parts of it that are all around it. I think that's where the material, where the different, like, you can see how one of the filament cartridges, if you will, is sticking out kind of on the right hand side. So I'm guessing that all those different slots all around that device there would be where you could put in filaments. So, you know, the configuration they have it right now might be for one source of material at a time, but they might be able to put in a whole bunch of different sources to have multiple extruders, you know, printing from different directions. I think I'm just theorizing, just looking at what that device looks like. I have no idea. There was no additional information, and this was all through Energia that was announcing this because they were the ones processing this experiment for the Soyuz vehicle that's going to be launching. So that's where I got this news from.
So that it lends itself to Milan Usk's.
Yeah, I know, right? I'm not entirely sure how to say that.
Right. Each one of those filaments is a different version of whatever you're making. So it's like the cyan cartridge, the magenta cartridge. You just 3D, but it's all Soylent, so we know what that is,
obviously.
And in the end, you end up with Soylent Green.
Yes,
delicious.
Wow.
Delicious. All right. It is interesting. I think we should follow this because this is, if this works and you are able to print more advanced objects in microgravity or wherever that might be, this is going to be one of those necessary things for humanity to live off of Earth. we're going to need to be able to help those who fall ill or have accidents or whatever the case may be, and it's going to be much, much harder to do, at least at first, in space than it will be to do here on Earth. And so I think this is going to be one of those, assuming it works, right? This is just a test. Right? This might,
this is an experiment.
Might miserably fail. It's an experiment. Who knows? So this could be one of those things that could be a game changer or could be nothing. We have no idea yet. But I think it's something we should definitely follow. And I think it's really, really interesting. All right. As you alluded to, we're going to be talking after the break a lot about Mars and like kind of what some of that's going to look like moving forward. And before we go to break, I did want to thank all of our Escape Velocity citizens for helping to contribute to this show and make this show possible. These people contribute $10 or more per episode. You know, it takes a lot to run a show like this. We literally have to pay the bills to keep the lights on, to keep the fish alive in the fish tank over there, even for the building itself, for the internet access. And without people like these Escape Velocity patrons, we literally would not be able to do this show. So thank you truly from the bottom of my heart for every single person on that list, every single person who contributes. But, you know, if you can't contribute financially, that's totally okay. We understand that. Simple things that you can do to help the show: like and subscribe to the show, hit the little bell. All of those little subscriptions, they help us a great deal. Tell your family and friends, get other people excited about going to the cosmos and doing some of this really awesome stuff. All of these things help us. All right, we're going to take a quick break, and when we come back, we're going to be talking about Mars with you two.
Look into her face, determination in her eyes. She won't give up or quit or fall for little fashion lies. Filled with awesome expectation, this girl's a fascination. And nothing in her way will keep her from her destination. 'Cause she's fire walking, she's fire walking. When it's hot, she keeps on moving, the heat keeps on improving. Yeah, she's fire walking, she's fire walking to be free.
Hang on, we're going to pause for a moment. Why don't you go take care of that really quick?
I don't know what's going on.
I know, go figure it out. We'll mute you a microphone. We're going to have just a casual conversation without you, not showtime. You go do what you need to do. All right. She'll be back in a minute. She needs to take care of a thing, and then we'll resume the show. Any fun topics that we want to talk about while we're waiting?
Ooh.
Well,
Well.
I mean, the chat. Unicorns that fart rainbows. That's a good jumping off point.
You said no more unicorns anymore, sitting next to her in a unicorn shirt.
Yeah.
Why no more unicorns anymore?
I don't know. I was at the Gorillaz concert, and I saw the shirt, and I was like, I should get that because
I think you made Lisa sad.
It would make Lisa upset, and I was like, that'd be funny.
She's sad facing us over there.
Yeah, you are. So I'm sorry.
That was your purpose. Oh man.
So yeah. Yeah. Cool stuff. So that's what's up.
Oh, that's gross. I always think about that. Sorry. Sean Devine on YouTube says, how do they collect dust on the ISS? Because dust is mostly dead human skin flakes.
Oh, filters?
Yeah, they have filters on board.
Yeah, I know.
So, right? You just need to rotate
Just the
air.
idea of dead human skin flakes.
You just wanted to bring that up?
I just wanted to say it on air. And it's like all I need to do is this, and bam, y'all got my skin flakes. Give some over there.
Thanks. That's great.
Jade perfume.
Yes.
Yeah.
You're welcome.
Can you
hey,
bioprint unicorns? Maybe
Actually,
someday.
Oh no! This is actually a pretty good question. From Raj. What are your thoughts on Elon Musk changing the names for the Big Falcon spaceship and Big Falcon booster? I can't comment on that due to a conflict of interest, but we can go around the table. That's my subtle way of saying I work there, so I can't talk about SpaceX.
I don't care. I think he should focus more on like actually working on it as opposed to how to name it.
You assume he's not working on it.
But just shut up about the names.
Is it the marketing team who's making a oorah
Elon,
about
go
it?
back to work. Elon, go back to the desk. Just
back to your desk.
Back to your desk. Go work.
Do I need to take your phone away?
You? What do you think, Jade?
Same. I mean, obviously, I think like labeling's important, marketing's important, but I mean, at the end of the day, it's like build the damn thing. We'll deal with the name later, or you know.
Yeah.
Call it Big Just rocket.
What is it the other day at work was Ambient is fun.
Mike? Just once I want to see an untitled spacecraft.
Brandless?
Untitled, but it's going to be called Untitled.
It's like what that brandless company is trying to do right now, where everything is brandless, but that in and of itself is a brand.
Yeah, yep.
I might have missed this. Is Elon like tweeted out like another name, or are we just talking about the name changes from like ITS to BFR?
Oh no, he's renamed it again. Now BF it's no longer BFR, BFB, BFS. The BF stuff is all gone. So now it is. Let's see here. The booster is super heavy, is what we're calling it, right? And the spaceship,
just super heavy?
Yep, just
for
super
now.
heavy. For now. For
super
heavy.
It's not Falcon super heavy, it's just super heavy?
Just super heavy.
Okay.
This week it's super heavy. And my views and opinions
the
of
upper
that,
stage
my own.
spaceship?
The spaceship is now called Starship.
Starship.
Yep.
Starship.
Yep. And now you're going to think the same thing everyone else thinks and
Nicki
go ahead and
Minaj.
say it out loud. No, not that.
Is this in response to the Russian tweets that are just like, Elon's using old technology. We'll have nuclear technology soon. And now Elon's calling it Starship because he's going to have some sort of crazy warp drive.
Oh, that would be amazing. Wouldn't that be the biggest unveil ever?
That's more like a Blue Origin type of thing that I would expect, though.
Be like, I know where we're talking. Be like, also, we included a warp drive. That's why we called it Starship.
By the way, we forgot to tell you guys about this. But,
that was the counterintuitive part of the whole thing, is that it can go faster than light.
Yeah, don't know if you guys knew this. Man.
But actually, Kindle stuff, that's great. Fueled by warped humor.
Actually, I was going to say the warp drive is only available on the Starship P100D. So,
right.
The music's being controlled from my phone.
That's hilarious.
Even though I had already closed it out, so I had to turn it down because apparently you could hear it from nearly the door that goes to prep kitchen.
Oh, wow.
Ooh.
Cool beans.
Oh, they don't have the password to the thing?
No, and I'm not going to give it to them.
Citizen 75556 has the best name for the booster. Call it Jefferson.
Yep.
Jefferson Starship.
Mm-hmm.
That'd be great.
Stuff.
Everyday Astronaut is enjoying Starship P100D.
You're welcome.
He's
take it. It's yours. Steal it.
Yeah.
Put it on the T-shirt.
Oh, that's right. We don't support Unicode characters or whatnot yet in the chat. All right. Why don't we...
Are we going to go to black and then...
Yeah, let's do one of those.
Okay.
Total restart.
Who is the first... It's Sarah. Yep. We need to put names in here somehow. I just realized.
Okay, you ready?
Yep, do it. Tomorrow returns, continues, onward,
And
something
upward.
like that.
Forward.
Yes.
We'll keep it. Sarah. Woo! Sarah, you're talking about Mars 2020.
Mars 2020. They have picked a landing site. There were 3 top runners, and the winner is Yezero. Yes.
Yezero.
Yezero.
Yes. All right.
Yes, why Yezero?
Why? What? Why did Yezero win?
Yezero.
Yezero Crater won because it is a fantastic potential resource for collecting not just the information from prehistoric Mars around its local area, but because it is a river delta leading to a crater lake, it has the potential to have all sorts of information from upstream that flowed down and deposited in that fan, that alluvial fan, the just delta of river stuff.
River
so
goo?
excited. River goo.
Yeah.
Delicious.
Great for the pores.
We'll
Yes,
print
that's
some
how
a
Mars
little bit later.
2020 is going to stay young all the time.
Everyday Astronaut, I expect you to build an ad for that. River goo, keeping Mars 2020 young.
All right, so I think what's on the screen right now, you've got the full Mars, the full Mars surface, and you can see where all of the other landers, other NASA landers and successful missions, rovers as well are. So you can see where Jezero is in relation to everybody else. It's close to, relatively close to where Curiosity is. And Jezero, fun fact, Jezero crater was one of the potentials for Curiosity. They chose Gale crater because it was easier to land in, and we weren't sure that our multi-stage entry, descent, and landing process of the parachute and the sky crane would work. So Jezero...
Because it was a little bit crazy.
Just a little.
Yeah.
Just a really little. But, so now that we know that it did work and we've gotten some information and can fine-tune and hopefully enhance our chances of survival with Mars 2020, they decided, let's go for it. Let's go to Jezero. And so, and fun fact, Jezero is a Slavic word that means lake. So that's why they picked it. Yeah, the name for that crater. Yeah, anyway, so.
Mars Lake.
What?
No, nothing. I was just saying, let's go to Mars Lake.
Mars Lake. Mars Jezero.
Mars Lake.
So Mars 2020, just a refresher on the whole mission itself, it's basically Curiosity 2.0. It is going to be the next step up in level of instrumentation. We're going to be looking, Curiosity was looking for just the basic elements, the schnapps that Jared was talking about earlier, the carbon, hydrogen, nitrogen, everything that we need in our life form type. There are words there. I was going to get there eventually.
Curiosity, it has completely different, not completely, but it has a whole bunch of different types of instruments, right?
Yeah. So Curiosity was looking for the basest elements. Mars 2020 is actually going to be able to find microbial life, prehistoric, fossil, anything like that. And also, it's going to have a sample return. So one of the things that we are really excited about is Mars 2020 has sample pods that it's going to be preparing as it drives around Jezero crater. It's going to be dropping little samples for later retrieval by future missions. So that means, let's go back to Mars.
Have those missions been designed yet, though?
They have not.
Okay, so...
No.
Because you said sample return, and I'm thinking to myself, how does it have like rocket engines on the bottom that didn't exist on Curiosity?
Nope.
Like how? No. They're like,
we'll get there later.
It's an incentive.
If you build it, they will fund.
Yep.
Yeah, that's basically the plan, because we know that we need more advanced chemistry to help us better understand the surface of Mars, its history, any life that may have been there or might still be there. So we can't send all of the instrumentation that we need to be able to sample it and confirm and get all the data that is possible to get from Mars in one little suburban size, sport utility vehicle sized rover. So they decided, let's put a sample return kit in there, bring it home, do the chemistry that we need to do here on Earth.
Yeah. So like a Google Mars X Prize challenge at some point.
Hopefully, something. We got to have some way to get that stuff back.
All right.
And that is going to be a feat in and of itself, because they're going to be scattered around, and it means you'll have to land and take off in one go. Yeah, right.
Or humans.
Yeah.
Bunch of questions from the chat room.
Hey.
Starting with Lur, will it have a redesigned drill?
I would imagine yes. I can't confirm because I'm not in on it, but I would imagine yes, considering Curiosity has had some issues with its drill, they're being built by the same people, so yeah, they know what they need to do to fix that. Yeah.
Helio Pausing has asked, it even has, well, not really asked, more of a statement, it even has a Mars helicopter on board, I think.
Yes. Yeah. So that is in the works, and there's a picture of it right there. It's adorable.
Yeah.
Look at it.
Just a little CubeSat helicopter.
It is a CubeSat helicopter.
Forgive me, I have a very stupid question, but with the lack of atmosphere, or the really thin atmosphere, I should say, on Mars, how in the world does a Marscopter work?
Well,
so they've already tested it. If I can chime in here, yeah, they've already tested it in wind tunnels that are set to the same amount of pressure that Mars is at. Very, very, very thin atmosphere has, and there's a particular way that they have the dual, they have the two blades spinning that allows it to, have create lift and then be able to maneuver around and everything like that. So they've tested it. It works. And as long as this thing turns on and does what it's programmed to do, it should work at Mars.
Right. Okay, next up question.
I was going to say the blades are contra-rotating against each other. So, in a regular helicopter, the main blade rotates a certain direction, and that develops torque. So that's why you have that small rotor on the back to work against that torque. Or in like a system without those, they have basically a ability to push air down the tail of a helicopter out in a certain direction. But because those are contra-rotating with each other, they don't need anything additional besides the two rotors for stabilization of it. So.
Okay, next dumb question. So, it wasn't necessarily stabilization. I was just like, there's so little atmosphere that generating lift with hardly anything at all would be difficult to do.
It is incredibly light for the surface of the blades.
Okay,
so they are. Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, it's basically a 1 unit CubeSat.
Yeah.
So it's itty bitty. It's not going to weigh a lot.
All right.
So, and then on Mars, it's not going to weigh. It's going to weigh 1/3 of what it does here on Earth as well.
Yeah. Oh, that's a good point. That's a really good point.
Yeah, and they were actually testing that in the vacuum chamber at JPL.
They just reduced the gravity of the vacuum chamber?
Well, they had it suspended a bit.
They turned off the gravity?
Yes, they had it suspended a bit. You can see the cable in the video that they released.
You don't turn off the gravity. You literally build the model that's 1/3 of the weight it would be here on Earth.
I don't know that they did it. I think they used the same materials, and at least the video that they released, they used the actual materials that they will use on Mars, but they had a suspension cable that sort of effectively made it 1/3.
Yeah, that's one way to do it.
So my next dumb question is, all right, great, they're able to create lift with very little atmosphere, but I thought that, and maybe this is me just being dumb, I thought that the atmosphere on Mars also whipped around a lot, like it was really fast. So how would they be able to simulate fast-moving, low amounts of atmosphere here on Earth?
Computer models?
Okay.
This is where I don't know.
Okay. But am I wrong, though, or is it just kind of like an Earth cycle where sometimes you have wind gusts and sometimes you don't?
I think it's, so yes, it has...
that.
What?
They might have even tested that, because there was at least 2 different videos that I saw testing this thing, and one of them at least had different fans that were going in different directions. But I don't know. I can't remember now whether or not those were actually on or not. But I feel like they might have been testing for that. But I mean, it's not that crazy. That bit of whipping around isn't very, very hard at all. I mean, the storms like in the movie The Martian definitely do not happen. So
right.
I get that. Well, that storm doesn't happen, but you still have very fast-moving winds, and if you have something that's lifting up, I would assume, maybe incorrectly, that those fast-moving winds, since you're already interacting with the atmosphere, would now have a negative interaction with the. Who knows? I truly don't know.
You're in an atmosphere that's 1% as thick as the Earth. So does that fast-moving wind even impart a force?
Well, you're already using it for lift, right? You're relying on that fast-moving air to raise your craft up off the ground. So it's going to have an effect, whether or not it's a thing that they haven't already compensated for is what I don't know.
So what's a helicopter going to do? It's so light, I can't imagine that it's got to have a lot of instrumentation on it.
No, it's actually, from what I've heard, it is supposed to be kind of a scout. It'll go out and let them pick the targets where they want to send the rover, because the rover moves at a ponderously slow speed. Curiosity's top speed is just a couple centimeters a second. Yes. So you don't want to be driving around like a dune buggy on Earth. You don't want to do that on Mars because, well, it's a multi-billion-dollar mission and there's no AAA in space. So,
although there should be. It's
right?
Great opportunity.
Eventually, once we can 3D print.
Maybe we'll crowdfund AAA for space. Maybe that's our mission.
Have a little logo on there.
Mm-hmm. I would so be a space mechanic.
I will definitely do roadside assistance.
All space mechanics.
Yes.
No, not a space mechanic.
I want to off-road on Mars. So the terrain is so much.
He wants to Mad Max it.
Yeah, I'll Mad Max Mars. So.
Leaving behind those different samples, though, gives me all sorts of bad movie ideas. I mean, can you just imagine if we did discover some sort of microbes and we put them up in some sort of sample bag? I'm going to call these breadcrumb samples. And when we do finally go and recover it, like in that controlled environment, it's like mutated and evolved into something crazy. And that brings kind of up the whole molecule conversation that we were having from last week, too.
Yeah, it does, and I'm wondering if we should jump to. Well, hang on. Before we go into that, I did have. Let's finish up this one. Sorry, I just lost my place. Jim Burr asks, did ESA say they were going to send a sample return mission?
Did ESA?
Yeah, the European Space Agency.
That I don't think so. So far as I know, this is predominantly NASA.
Okay.
It'd be nice to have.
But I mean, the sample return is no one right now.
Right. No one at the moment. So, but I haven't heard any confirmation of anyone saying, yes, we got this, bro.
Everyone wants to do it, but yeah, no one has said that yet.
David Anderson has a question, which is, why do the sample returns now? Wouldn't the samples be destroyed by UV radiation while awaiting for pickup?
No. So the plan that they have, the design at the moment that they're working on is a sphere. It's a tightly sealed sphere. So the sample would be held internally within this additional sphere and dropped to sit. And the UV, it's been exposed to basically straight sunlight and UV and solar radiation for billions of years. So the trip back to Earth is not going to be the issue. The issue is actually going to be making sure that nothing contaminates it from Earth once we get it back and when we open the sample. Matt Gollenbeck was actually talking about the sample return, the level of clean room necessary for making sure that Earth's stuff doesn't contaminate the Martian sample is higher than the highest level CDC clean rooms at the moment.
So that does actually bring up, so we were talking last week about microbes, so we're going to jump into some, so we had some great viewer comments last week on microbes, and I think we'll start with Lisa, the moon is square, if that's all right. Who said, I couldn't agree more about the microbe rights to peace movement. If they liked it so much, they should have put a flag on it. I hope they can adapt quickly to being exposed to rocket thrust. So, I mean, we're constantly, right? I mean, we're constantly looking for life on Mars. We're looking for life in the solar system, right? I mean, that seems to be a fundamental mission. All over the place.
Yeah.
Right?
Yes.
Even on even outside of the solar.
Life looks for life.
Life looks for life.
Yeah.
Right. And so I find it funny that there's like this split between people being like, well, you know what? No, microbes don't matter. They don't get a say in it. They're just microbes. We should just show up and whatever happens to them happens to them. As opposed to then, like, why? If we don't care, why are we even looking for life then? If we don't care about life, then why are we even looking? What's the point? Let's just go and colonize everything and bulldoze over all of it.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, that fundamentally that's what it is.
Absolutely. And I think there's some aspect of science fiction shaping what our anticipation of, or our definition of alien.
Okay.
Right? And so we expect, if it looks like a Vulcan or a Klingon, trademarked, then we respect that it has its right to life because it can communicate with us, that it has said, this is my planet, you shall not pass, what have you, insert your...
You shall not pass!
We're going to find Gandalf on another planet?
Maybe. Maybe.
Let's go!
So I think that there's this bias toward human-shaped alien. If it doesn't look like us, if it can't fight back, then it's not worth saving. And I think that's where the division comes in. We are inherently...
Like in the science community or just like in the general population?
I think in the general population.
Because I was going to say, I think it's a pretty...
There's a very big difference between the general population.
I was going to say, I feel like it's pretty
so
ubiquitous by now. But not even just the science community, but people like us, for instance. Like, we're not like researchers, but we have a good understanding of science. And even we are like, just because it's not like super cute like we are, it doesn't mean we shouldn't still... Because imagine how ugly we look to an advanced life form out there, and they're like, well, they don't have 10 brains. Off with them, you know?
Yeah. So I think... Yes, I think the division between save the microbes and nuke everything, I think that is mostly in the general population.
I may have made that a little more extreme.
I know.
It's not nuke everything. It's just that to
conquer and
form
kill
the resources and bend it to our will. Yeah, I mean,
exactly.
The general populace. The way that we live here on Earth. We don't necessarily in our normal daily lives don't even think about microbes. I just killed millions of microbes in my hand just now. So, maybe not millions, but
I
that's the sort of level of respect for the difference between microbial life and us, complex, intelligent organisms. And yes, I agree that we shouldn't send contaminate the surface and then find those samples. Like if there were samples on the Viking landers that were discovered, that's not Martian life. That's just something that piggybacked along with it. So if we continue with the process, I'm fine with how the process is now. But at what point do we definitively say, yes, there is microbes, or no, there isn't? And if we definitively say, no, there isn't any microbes on Mars, from the terraforming crowd, is that now the okay, let's start bulldozing, let's start building habitats, and let's make this place a thriving community for human life and all the type of complex life that we like to have along with us. Plants, trees, animals, all that type of stuff.
I think that's legit, though. If we say there's nothing there are no microbes, there's nothing on this dead world, I don't think many people in the scientific community or engineering community or any community would have an issue then terraforming that planet. You might have.
I would have no qualms with that.
But as long as you did your due diligence.
Right. But that's where we failed on Mars. We have not completed our due diligence.
Exactly. And we're setting
haven't sampled every single meter of surface area on Mars.
Barely sampled anything. We've
pull up the map again. If you could pull up the map of the landers and rovers on Mars, those tiny little circles,
big sample size.
That's not. They can't even. So the landers can't travel anywhere. The rovers.
I'm convinced.
Right. The farthest moving rover is gone. What?
Yeah.
25 kilometers on the surface of Mars.
Yeah, dude.
So we haven't, and we've only really explored the northern lowlands. We haven't even gotten a look at the southern highlands because well, we can't land anything there yet. There's just not enough atmosphere.
And also kind of think about the big picture. Like, you're setting a precedent. Like, I mean, yeah, we were all gung-ho and we want to do this and, time is of the essence, but at the same time, it's these types of processes that as we, advance in our technologies, when we start to go there and, like, do some serious, like, planting our roots there, literally and figuratively, we're going to want to know that a few generations, this was a precedent. This is something that there was a process, like, out of just respect for the planet itself, because obviously we've lost a little for our own these days. But, sorry, I'm on my soapbox. I'm done. That's all.
I agree with you.
I just want to bring up the point. Call me a little paranoid or whatever you want to, but we don't know what is present on Mars at the moment. Mm-hmm. So I'm concerned about us contaminating Mars if we go there, but I'm also concerned about what happens if life is there. And we get that life inside of ourselves.
And like Andromeda's Strain.
Are we going to have a proper immunity to it? Is it going to be something similar to life here on Earth so our bodies can react correctly?
Speaking of sci-fi, Michael Crichton predicted that.
Sure, we look back. we look back on the first couple of Apollo missions when they quarantined the astronauts. We kind of giggle about it now because there's no life on the moon at all. But that wasn't a known quantity at that time. That was a legitimate concern, and I feel like we have the exact same concern on Mars as we would with that. Call it silly, call it whatever you want to, but it's to me it's an actual concern that we need to worry about, both ourselves contaminating it and also what happens if there is life there and we somehow get that life inside of ourselves. What happens health-wise?
On the flip side too, on the flip side too of discovering life on Mars is that now it's Mars is off limits and we can no longer go there, or if it is something, even if it is microbial life or maybe something a little bit more complex, do we obey like first contact laws and just leave it alone, or do we maybe give it some nutrients that would be beneficial and maybe help out its evolution? And we won't see that because it'll take millions of years to make any sort of change. But do we try to help out whatever life is it might be struggling at Mars, or do we just leave it completely alone and it's off limits?
Yes. Also, it's hilarious because you're frozen. Yes. And so our laser link to the moon apparently...
There's been a breach.
There we go. We've got him back.
There he is.
We've got him back. Turning it on. Back off again. There we go.
By the way, there were some folks in the chat room who were saying that you really can't get like a very good clean room for things here on Earth. And I would actually disagree with that because in order to build computer circuitry and hard drives and things like that, you have to put them in unbelievable clean rooms. I'm talking like class 10 clean rooms, which basically means per cubic meter there are only 10 particulates in that. So I figure we're not far away from being able to build an actual clean room that you could work with Mars samples in. But it's going to be the best clean room in the history of humanity.
Or what if we mount the laboratories in Lunar Gateway?
No. I'm actually not. I'm not anti-Lunar Gateway.
Oh my gosh!
I just don't think that what we're designing makes sense.
No, I agree.
But there can be a scenario in which Lunar Gateway makes sense. We're just doing it all backwards and for all the wrong reasons and in the wrong place. It's all wrong right now, but we could make it right.
It's a completely evolving design, though. I mean, the design for it changes every month.
That's fair too. I'll buy that. And once the design changes into something that, go ahead.
Yeah. If we get stuck with it, if Congress, makes it law that we have to do it, in the same way that we got stuck, so to speak, with the Space Launch System, then let's figure out how to best utilize it. Let's put it in a different orbit that makes better sense. Let's figure out a better configuration that makes more sense. Let's make good use of it if that is the way that we move forward. Still a design at this point.
All right, long, fascinating conversation. I think I'm going to break the show up in a really funny way here. I think what we should do right now is actually take another really quick break. And when we come back, Jade, you've got your news story on Mars as well.
Yes, I do.
And then we've got some additional comments from the community. And before we go to break, I did want to thank all of the citizens of tomorrow who helped to make this segment happen. These, of course, are Escape Velocity citizens who have contributed $10 or more to this specific episode. And we also have our Orbital citizens who have contributed $5 or more to this specific episode. Again, every single dollar helps. You're helping to allow us to communicate the awesomeness of this. And by the way, we're just a bunch of space geeks for space geeks, right? We all love this stuff. And while we don't necessarily all have the same opinions and ideas and everything, neither do you, right? I mean, and so we like to sit and we like to converse and nerd out with you every Saturday over space stuff. And the fact that you're willing to help contribute to us, to allow us to geek out with you,
holy smokes.
It means a lot to me. It really, truly does. Because otherwise, we simply wouldn't be able to do this. We wouldn't be able to have our space geekery moment. And that would make me sad, right? And when are we going to go on Saturdays?
What else am I going to do on a Saturday morning?
Exactly. All right, we're going to take a quick break. So thank you, everyone. Take a quick break. When we come back, more from Mars.
We've always looked to the stars. They guide us, give us comfort, help us find our way. We see ourselves out there. When we look up, it inspires us. And we long for something we don't yet know. We yearn to go there. So, we venture forth.
We choose to go to the moon in this decade and do the other thing, not because they are easy, but because they are hard. Because that goal will serve to organize and measure the best of our energies and skills.
Tranquility Base here. The Eagle has landed. It's one small step for man, one giant leap for mankind.
The exploration of space will go ahead, whether we join in it or not.
Many think we stopped exploring. But we know our journey didn't end. We've only just begun.
Orion is functioning perfectly at this point.
Come with us and explore tomorrow.
Acquisition of Signal Anaheim. All right. Well, that's what it would be.
We're doing location now. I like that.
Coordinates, go.
This is tomorrow actual.
Tomorrow actual. No, that's how it would be, right? When you have acquisition of Signal, they'll tell you what ground station you've just acquired from. So this is our
absolutely.
I don't know how that would actually work. Yeah, sure, that goes. All right, so let's continue our Mars conversation. We just talked about the landing site. We talked about microbes and whatnot. Jade, what are you talking about with Mars?
Today we're actually going to talk a little bit more about the surface features of Mars. All right. Despite the fact that it's not, geologically active in the way that we would think about Earth, there's still a lot of really interesting stuff on that old face. And some
old face.
From that old face. Now, and some recent research that just came out of the University of Texas, basically using some really high-def images from the Mars Reconnaissance Orbiter, such as this image you're about to see right now. Basically, what they discovered was that once upon a time, the craters on Mars were once filled with water. A lot of us know by now that Mars was once quite juicy. It was a pretty wet environment a long time ago. But so wet, in fact, that these basins would overflow with water. And that's a lot of water, because some of these basins are as big as the Caspian Sea. And when you have something that large that all of a sudden just bursts into, you can see I call it the escape canal, but that's not what it's called. I forget what it's called. But there's in the top right-hand corner, you can actually see where the water kind of escaped from, like a little hole in a water balloon, but way gnarlier. And studying the surface features, what they were able to conclude was that unlike Earth, where water kind of slowly makes changes to our surroundings, takes millions of years, it's very gradual. Mars was like weeks. Weeks, yes. Because of the lack of plate tectonics and because of a few other kind of elements, not the elements like Earth, Wind, and Fire. Well, that's a great band. On Earth, Mars is a different mechanism, is a much more different mechanism when it comes to carving out the different surface features, such as these canals. And that's basically the fascinating thing, is we always knew there was once water on Mars, and we knew that water did a big part in carving out the different canals and gullies and canyons, but we didn't know how quickly or how rapidly. But we knew it must be at a different rate than Earth, and now we know it was hecka fast. It was super fast. Weeks is like a blink of an eye compared to the geological processes here on good old Earth.
Well, yeah, I mean, here on Earth, you can't even really perceive it. They happen so slowly.
Exactly.
But in weeks, you would absolutely be, like a single human would be able to perceive that process happening.
Exactly. And this just kind of, it just adds to our understanding of Mars and how it formed, because at one point it was, pretty similar to our own Earth. But now we get to study more of how the processes rapidly shaped Mars, and permanently as well, mostly permanently. So it's not like it wet its pants and then all of a sudden you wash your pants. It's like, no, you wet your pants and then it stays there for billions of years. So we're able to actually study and put together these models as to exactly what Mars was like. I'm sorry.
You got Mike on that one.
I speak in a way that I would understand me, so I apologize.
So, well, actually,
this is so red because it's embarrassed after all this time.
Oh, wow. Sorry, I'm not as sophisticated.
I guess where I'm a little bit where that statement confuses me is, all of this happened really quickly. So you say it wets its pants and stays there for billions of years.
Well,
but didn't it happen really quickly and then unhappen just as quickly?
Well, no. Basically, it would unhappen, as the water went and carved out what we now see today, unlike Earth, which has other processes that would eventually, we're always going through a constant facelift here on Earth, from, whether it's erosion or the atmosphere and the air. Mars, of course, doesn't have those types of elements messing around with it. It's kind of like our moon, There's a lot of features that have been there for quite a long time because not a whole lot's messing around with it. It's kind of an artifact of its own history. Mm-hmm. And essentially, that's what's going on here as well. Mm-hmm.
I like the moon.
There it is. I was waiting for it.
It's hard to hold that one in.
Yeah, no, that's okay. Yeah, and what's really cool is connecting back to the new landing spot for Mars 2020. Jezero, when I read, so that must have been pretty recent, right? That they announced that Jezero was going to be the landing site? Mm-hmm. Because when
the 19th.
I was, because when I was putting this story together, it was saying, and one of the paleo lakes that they studied was a potential landing site, which was the Jezero crater. But now I can say they studied the crater. I'm sure they've already studied it expansively before, but there you go. Yeah. More research.
So then, we've answered this before, I'm sure, but again, my very slow head. Where did it all go? If we created all of this really quickly, and then it just kind of hung out for a while, why did it all disappear?
Water?
The water, right? It sounds like there was just so much water, and that the solar radiation and the solar winds just whipped it all away. But
a lot of it's still there. A lot of it's still there. Yeah, it's just frozen and underground. You know,
frozen in the poles. The North Pole especially has a crap load of water. I don't know how much that is, but
a lot.
Several of the UST's
But
worth.
they must have lost a lot if there's like nothing other than the poles. There doesn't appear to be anything all that visible on the surface of the planet pretty much anywhere else. Is that
yes, no, it has definitely lost a lot of water to the atmosphere being stripped by the sun. And I mean, just looking at the fact that we don't have liquid water on the surface means that you don't have enough atmospheric pressure to keep water in its liquid phase, but at one point it did. So you've gone from having enough atmosphere to maintain liquid water on the surface to not. So yes, we definitely lost a lot. But it is, as far as we know, based on the findings of the orbiters, has been stripped by solar wind because of the lack of magnetosphere. Yeah.
And then we're going to go down and look at the old river goo.
Yay, river goo!
Put some on.
Delicious.
Make it a spa day.
All right, let's head into some comments from our last show. Let's see here. Where should we start? So let's start with Lisa. Let's start with Hank, if we could, who says, "Who cares who gets to the moon first? Let's just get there, then Mars and beyond." So I feel like I should throw that one over to Mike, Space Mike. Who
technically, the United States has already been to the moon, but you're right.
First!
Yeah. We
Put
were
a flag
first.
in
We
there.
were first. But that's all, yeah. Oh my gosh. Anyway, I completely agree. And I think that we should all go together. And I think that we should, do stuff at the moon, figure out, get expertise in landings with humans, do lots of studies on the human body in deep space in between. Figure out and try to figure out things that we don't know yet, and make sure that when we do attempt human missions to Mars, that we have the safest possible mission that we can, without delaying it hundreds of years. And that's what I'm afraid of all these type of missions, to determine whether or not we should even send humans to Mars. I mean, that's the thing. We want to send humans to Mars within the 2030s, but with all this stuff about microbes and everything like that, I don't know how if that's actually going to be a problem or not. But I don't know. I just don't want the exploration of Mars to take hundreds of years before the first humans ever set foot there, if they ever set foot there.
Yeah, and still haven't figured out radiation and how to mitigate that as well.
Oh, that little problem?
Yeah.
Oh, and
just a minor.
That's the big point of Deep Space Gateway, is to figure out those problems. Anyway.
We don't need. Oh my God! Okay, we're not going to get into that right now. Not going to.
The thing is that Jared, you're the one who chose this particular comment. Was there something specific that you wanted to address?
Yeah, I just thought it was because we were talking a lot last week about which specific who should we collaborate with and all this other stuff, and is it ethical? Just do it, damn it! Just go for it.
But wait, hang on. So isn't that? So you're probably. I'm sorry to bring this back to microbes again, but you're probably in. No. Hear me out. So you're probably in the. We probably shouldn't muck with Mars until we understand the microbes part, right? Mm-hmm. But you're also in the just do it already camp for the. That's the same camp that Mike seems to be on with regards to microbes. Of just do it. So where does that line get drawn?
Well, the line gets drawn because I understand the engineering that goes into making missions work and things like that. And there's no way that people are going to be on Mars before we get those samples and basically have those samples nice and isolated from contamination. So I actually don't have a problem with people landing on Mars as long as there is some sort of sample that is completely sealed off and is not going to get contaminated.
But who's to say that microbes don't exist on the moon? Haven't we found that we can get microbes to survive in the vacuum of space?
Yes.
So who's to say? Have we done these same exact tests on the moon?
Yes.
Well, yeah, we brought moon rocks back with the Apollo program. And the only indication that there was any form of life was on the Surveyor camera that was probably contaminated either en route.
Yes,
yeah.
And that was I heard basically that the Surveyor 3 camera was either contaminated in the building that it was being made in, or one of the 3 astronauts on Apollo 12 contaminated it somehow on the trip back from the moon.
Do we know that for sure?
Not exactly for sure.
So
but
how is that
not like
fair?
5 sigma.
How is that fair then?
Well, I mean, we have taken that.
We do discover life that is so similar to something here on Earth. Do we just write that off as, oh, that must have been a contamination?
There's that question as well. It was an identifiable strain of a familiar bacterium, so. Odds are extremely good that it was just Earth contamination, and none of the other samples of anything else had
like that.
What?
Like it was like that season's flu strain from
Basically,
the
yeah.
1971 or something.
Yeah, it was a thing that it was a bacterium that we have on all of our hands. Yeah,
Yes.
and so it was totally identifiable. It was totally, or very, very, very probably just accidental contamination, and none of the other samples had anything that would indicate there was any microbial life or past microbial life.
But using your own map against you from Mars,
Right.
can you show me a map of the moon that shows that we've done extensive exploration of the moon?
We haven't. Yeah,
Right.
we've only scratched the surface.
So now I'm not.
There is one other.
Something probably crazy.
But let me be clear. I'm playing devil's advocate here, right? I mean, I don't necessarily.
Love this.
But I mean, it seems like it's a double standard.
No, I'm with you, but here's another thing. We have all evidence indicating that there was never liquid water on the surface of the moon. There was never even the potential environment to have any life like we know it on the moon.
Yeah.
Had to have that qualifier, though.
Yeah.
That's the only problem. That's the only problem there. You have to have that qualifier.
Well, of course, because talking in absolutes is just
I understand.
arrogance.
Also, schnapps.
Well, that's me.
Also, schnapps that eventually develops into amino acids there's very low quantities of that on the moon. I mean, it's moon's. I mean, there's almost none of that.
I'm sorry, community. I have driven this into the ground. Something serious. I'm sorry. I didn't mean to do that.
I just want to add on to the Surveyor 3 camera talk, which is that the bacteria, when they found it, it was not alive. It was dead.
I'm trying to move on, Jared.
Man.
I'm trying to move on.
Come on, dude.
All right. Carrie Ann did remind me that we're supposed to be doing the comments for the person who chose them. So who took Alexander's comment?
Oh, that was me.
All right, go ahead.
All right, so...
Oh, Sarah. All right, this is... Go ahead.
Okay, so Alexander Airy from YouTube. I hope I'm close on your last name there. So this was a really, really long comment, and we've definitely abridged it there. If you would like to see the rest of it, you could go to YouTube and read that comment.
Literally, it's pages. You guys have read that here. If you can see.
It's impressive.
Hold it. Go ahead.
Oh, okay. So the comment is, why are we talking so much about going to Mars? Venus is the better option. And there was a list of reasons why. Oh, and that's abridged as well. That thing that he's scrolling through.
It says there's even a thing in the what they wrote that says sorry for the rant.
Absolutely. So the reason this person went on the rant is because my brother is an extraterrestrial geologist who studies Venus, and his annoyance with the space community's fixation on Mars appears to have rubbed off on me. Okay.
He's not the only one who's annoyed by that.
Okay, so for the Occupy Venus camp, they've got a couple things on their side, and I thought this would be a really fun conversation. Like, let's weigh the benefits, weigh the cost analysis, whatever you want to say, of going to Venus. Okay, so Venus is closer than Mars. Awesome, less time spent in radiation. Venus does have a magnetic field, less time in radiation. Venus is on a resonant orbit with Earth. That means that our launch windows are much closer spaced. So a round trip to Venus would be every 7 months instead of every 26 months. Okay.
Venus boats. You get to have a Venus boat. How awesome is that?
Right.
Like a Venus yacht.
So there are some downsides to Venus. Venus has a mean surface temperature of, and I'm going to do this in Fahrenheit, 800 degrees.
Yes.
And
No, I'm saying Fahrenheit.
I know.
So, hold on, let me Google that for you.
I was literally just going to do that.
Was it around 500?
126.6 degrees Celsius.
How much?
426.
426. I was sort of close.
Holy
okay,
smokes.
426.6 Celsius.
Now we're cooking.
Yeah, right. So that is higher than the melting point of lead. It has a surface atmosphere of 90 Earth atmospheres, so it would be like trying to go down to a kilometer down in the ocean.
But you're assuming that you're going down the atmosphere.
Right.
You can sit atop the atmosphere.
You could sit atop the atmosphere, but
in
then
your Venus yacht.
You could, but then what is the point of going to Venus? Isn't the point of going to Mars that there is material, there are resources there that you can use to build your structure, you can build your community on Mars with what you find there. But if you're going to Venus, if you can't go to the surface, you can't mine anything there, you have to bring everything with you. So
giant anchors like ships go down, they go through the atmosphere a really long ways.
Harvest a ton of carbon dioxide.
And then, isn't there like tons of acid rain and stuff?
It is sulfuric acid rain.
Yeah,
and
it's not gonna mix so well.
The part of Venus's atmosphere where it's at about 1 atmospheric pressure, similar as we would have here on Earth, the temperatures are very much right around room temperature that we would have here on Earth. And in addition to that, because Venus's atmosphere is made out of carbon dioxide, oxygen, which we use to breathe, it's a lifting gas in Venus's atmosphere.
Yeah.
So
we would be able to fly.
Yes. We would.
Are we gonna
and
Are we about a cloud city?
I was thinking cloud city. What?
And plants would love it.
It's literally
It's true.
Bespin.
So,
what if Lando's there?
I was going to say that.
So that's why I picked this, because there is the possibility that Venus is the better choice. Now, sure, if we want to go to the surface, you look at what has landed there, and it's just 2 Venera probes, the Russian probes Venera.
There's been
but that function
4 to 5 Venera probes,
but that
and
functioned.
Also the United States has dropped a couple probes.
But functioned. I think only 2.
Oh, on the surface?
Yeah, on the surface.
On the surface,
only 2 have functioned, and they required to take samples within the atmosphere. They needed like explosive charges to open their experiments up and then slam them back closed. All kinds of awesome, fun engineering stuff, but also but if you're going to land something on there, the terminal velocity is what, 20 miles? Like 14 kilometers an hour.
There you go. But I think you hit it with if the point of colonizing these planets is to create backups for humanity and actual colonization and humans exploring the solar system, Venus seems like it's a place we should go, but it's kind of like the Fifth Element where you have that like giant ship, little luxury cruise liner where you just go for vacation.
Right.
That seems more like what Venus would actually be.
Yes.
Once we have the solar system figured out, we'll vacation on Venus.
Right. And I think that's probably what we're going to... I just want to fly too.
You don't agree?
No, it's not that I disagree. It's just like I have a hard time wrapping my head around wanting to go to Venus simply just because
I want to fly.
That's cool. Great. All right. There we go.
No, I'm sorry.
No. That's basically it. But that's just me, and like that's just a relic of all of my years of understanding exactly how inhospitable and mean Venus is. At the observatory, we have an entire exhibit dedicated to just talking about how horrific the conditions are, for humans at least. And it's like, I guess that's just me. I just need to open my mind up a little bit more, because right now it's like, even if we're just in the clouds, it's like, I don't know. I mean, that's cool.
Right above the thickest layer of clouds, though, just like Jared was mentioning, there is this really thin layer where it's 1 atmospheric pressure, the type of pressure that we're feeling right now, and it's room temperature. It's like 70 degrees Fahrenheit, whatever that is in Celsius. Forgive me. I'm an ignorant American. And so
that's the shirt for the show.
Ignorant American.
Welcome, I'm with you.
But would there be any convective forces or anything that would potentially, if you accidentally went a certain level down, that would suck you in, or
Oh, sure. Like if you had a floating flotilla, I'm assuming that we could have a structure that could be floating on bags of, I want to say helium gas, but I don't know if there's something that would be better to use with carbon dioxide.
Yeah, oxygen and nitrogen. Literally, the atmosphere of the Earth is a lifting gas in Venus's atmosphere. So. Yeah, that's wild to think about.
But if you were to fall off the edge, then you would just drop. But as long as you didn't go over the edge, then you could just float along.
It would be like up. all you have to have is like an
bunch of
oxygen balloon attached to
and
you.
a really heartwarming motive.
Right.
And an adorable little Asian
I'll
Boy
tell you
Scout.
one thing,
And the
Venus
dog.
will
You
be
need the
very
little
heartwarming.
More bad movie ideas coming up.
By the way, just thinking of some science that you could do at Venus. If you had a infrared telescope on the night side of Venus, you could actually scan for asteroids from a perspective that's further in than the Earth. So you could actually get a much better population study of asteroids, than, especially near Earth.
Especially all the scary,
especially those
asteroids.
than what we would have just from our sky surveys here on Earth. So.
Mike on the chat room in YouTube says Venus Gateway. I mean, only. Yes, please. Sure. Cool. I'll close out with this. You said that Venus is inhospitable. I think that's a fair assessment. What happens when you step outside on Mars again?
Mm-hmm.
Well, yeah. But
throw that out there.
I'll be honest. Okay.
On Mars
what
isn't
happens?
fair.
Which fate would you rather have, Ben? You want to step out, and it's like, okay, radiation, lack of atmospheric pressure, and freezing, depending on what time it is and where you are.
Yes, so death within
or
10 seconds.
Venus.
Crushed and melted to death.
Do you want to be crushed like a can and melted and I mean, I'd rather die on Mars. I'm sorry.
What happens if I drop you on like 99.8% of anywhere on the surface here on Earth?
Mm-hmm. Well, I think it'd be pretty epic. I mean, while we're talking about it,
you can at least swim.
What a way to go!
For how long?
Well, I mean, are you going to pick me back up again?
If we're dropping me off on Mars, I guess
that's a fair one.
Earth sucks.
I gotta argue the
Listen, it's
percentage of
revenge
surface, though. What?
You die anywhere on Earth, and it's revenge of the microbes.
Let's face it, the universe wants to kill us.
That's
true.
Also the shirt for the show, and that is the show this week. I hope everyone had a fun time. It was a unique one.
It was a show.
It was definitely a show, and I'd like to thank all the people who helped make this show happen. These are the Escape Velocity citizens who have contributed $10. We also had our Orbital citizens who have contributed $5, and our Suborbital citizens. These are people who have contributed $2.50 or more to this show. And again, a heartfelt thank you to every single person on this list, because you do help make this show go round and round, as it were, and our ground support citizens who have contributed. It used to be between 1 penny and $2.49. I really wish we could make it 1 penny again. That's not our restriction. I think being able to contribute 1 penny would be awesome. Because I think, look, if you want to contribute just anything, whatever you think the show is worth to you, if you think the show is worth 1 penny to you, then by all means, I'll take the penny. Like, I'll put your name in the show because you're willing to put in the effort to contribute a penny. I think that's fair. That Patreon does not allow me to do that because something credit card charges something I don't care. But what I'd really love to do, if the community can help me figure this out, I think there is value in other things as well. And I'd love to get people into those tiers for doing things like promoting the show on social media, promoting the show in other places, helping out with animations, helping out with whatever.
There is actually a community post on community.tmro.tv talking about other ways that you can help. It actually was started by Not You. Which was really interesting. So maybe, well, because I mean, like they are contributing in their own way. I just think that it would be a good idea if you have some specific ideas of areas and ways to contribute to the show.
I posted in that thread.
Well, yeah, you posted in the thread, but you didn't start the thread. It doesn't matter. We can talk about that later. But there is a post there. In case you care, you can head on over to community.tmr.tv or start your own post. There's always that. There's lots of different kinds of posts.
But one of the things I would love to do is find a way, if the community is willing to help me, is find a way to measure those things and to be able to group them into like ground support, suborbital, orbital, so forth and so on. So as you contribute in other ways that aren't just financial, you still get some of the rewards, or at least your name in the show. I want to give everyone credit for helping the show, and I just don't have a good way of doing that right now. And I would really, really appreciate feedback as to how we can make that better for you. The other thing I want to mention before we close out the show is at the end of the year, we're likely going to be re-examining all of the rewards you actually get on Patreon, because I think we can do some better things for you at these different tiers and offer you a few more things and do things that make sense. And one of the things I'm considering doing is just not having After Dark be a thing per se. Just leave it as part of the show. We won't post it on its own channel. You can just go back to the archive of the live show and just watch that. I won't kill it because I think there's something fun about us just sitting here and chatting after the show. But I don't know that needs to be a reward. I think we can replace it with something better. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I'm crazy. Maybe everyone's like, no, don't you dare do that. Please let me know in one of our forums. I'm just thinking out loud. All right. I'd like to thank everyone so much for watching. This was episode 46. We've got 50 episodes coming up this year, according to our schedule. So next week, same bad time.
50 in total we'll be doing this year. We're not doing 50 episodes before the end of the year.
We're doing 50 before the end of the year.
Yeah, we're doing 50. Oh, yeah. Yeah, the last episode of the year is number 050 or 1150. 1150. All right, thank you everyone so much for watching. We'll see you next week. On Twitch, Talakwi says, what about a unique tier for those that help in other ways? I'm not opposed to anything. I'm open to all ideas at this point. I don't know what makes sense, right? But I feel like the 4 tiers we have, I almost want to get rid of ground support and roll that into suborbital, so we have 3 tiers instead of 4. I think that would work a little bit better for the show. Maybe I'm crazy because it's a 3-segment show. You too. No, I want to. I don't know. I don't know what the answer is. Again, I feel like we should just re-examine it and just, figure out what actually makes sense and works. Yeah. Did we like that show? I thought my personal energy was a little bit low today.
I was a bit higher than normal. I apologize if I stepped over anyone.
No,
it's just hard because you're a little bit more muffled than we are. So when you start talking, we don't necessarily catch right away that you're talking, and then we have to stop and actually go and have you repeat.
It ends up that we end up talking over you instead.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, it's actually you're not. We're talking over you, not the
it's
other
not
way
you.
around.
It's us.
Yeah. Yeah, I was noticing that this week. Sorry, Mike.
Well, honestly, jeez.
Because no one cares.
I just wanted to throw this out there real quick, going back to Venus, because someone said that there's been no mission proposals for Venus, for crewed missions or anything like that. NASA actually did a study called the High Altitude Venus Operational Concept, or what they call Project Havoc.
That's a great background. I'm on board with that one.
Did a study about having a crewed, basically, I guess the best way to describe it is Zeppelin in the atmosphere of Venus.
I love everything about this.
So, see, she's on board with Venus now.
It's very cool.
It's the Havoc Zeppelin.
I was just thinking that because lead melts on Venus,
it would be a Led Zeppelin.
Leadless Zeppelin.
Oh my god.
So yeah, Havoc is so cool, especially the entry and descent into the atmosphere. It's freaking ridiculous how they plan to do it. So, but it's cool. It's just a study, but somebody has thought about this. So.
Green on YouTube says, I feel bad for Jade and Jared. They never get to the end of what they're saying in this new format. Is that true?
That might be. Is that our bad? I mean,
is that actually true? You got to the end?
I don't feel like you guys cut me off or anything like that.
But you got to the end, right?
Yeah.
Yeah,
I
you
got
said
to
all
my point.
Yeah, you got through all of your notes.
Yeah.
Okay, you? So.
I think I did. I think there was like a closing statement that I didn't put in there that I was going to wrap it up with. But
do it now.
It wouldn't have. Okay. So the reason why this is so interesting, you see, is because this is a little bit paradigm shifting when it comes to the forces that actually shape the way a planet's face looks like. And while the mechanisms are the same, i.e. water make change in ground, the paradigm's completely different. Whereas on Earth, it takes a long time, forms all the time, changes. On Mars, it's like here, done, bam, billions of years later, humans are like, wow, cool. So aren't you glad I didn't say that during the actual show? Maybe they disrupt me for a reason.
But with the seal clap, it made all the difference.
Okay, so I was thinking of like Seal the artist, and I'm like, did I go Kiss from a Rose right now?
Yeah, you did. It's on the gray right now.
But to be clear, we're not cutting you guys off. I mean, we're having conversations, and we might start, but the ideas are complete. Question mark? Question mark?
I hope so.
I'm just not stating. I'm asking.
Agreed up talk? Yeah.
Well, I guess that's not for us to decide. That's for them to decide. Like, do you feel like we finished our ideas?
Well, I think so. There is going to always there's going to be a couple things. The noise is going to be higher in this new format. I'm okay with that. I think a little bit more noise still makes it. We're adding more enjoyability into it. If you're all signal and no noise from a human standpoint, it's just bland and boring and just all data. It's not fun. It's not like Project Havoc.
Nope. You mean
G.I. Joe base?
The G.I. Joe base, yes.
Yeah. Love it.
But
Elon Musk should be. Hear me try to blue that. God, I got sausage fingers.
Oh my gosh, that would be amazing.
All right, I did it. Should be shot on a table. That 70s show style, aka my favorite show that's ever existed.
Wait, what should be? We should be shot on a table?
Well, like in the garage scenes of that 70s show,
basement.
When they're all kind of.
Their basement.
Having the smoke sessions.
Well, it's legal. We can talk about it.
When they are smoking marijuana and under the influence of
Devil's
said
lettuce.
cannabis. That's romaine.
Wacky weed.
Give you a Caesar salad and throw you in jail.
No, Caesar salads are bad right now. It'll kill people.
Yes. Just made that joke.
That would be kind of fun though.
Never mind.
Like to do once. Yeah, to do that type of cinematography, have a camera that would pivot in the middle and just go around that'd be a lot of fun to try at least once.
That'd be a moving camera.
It would have to be multiple cameras and just cut between them.
No, we can't. We can't because we will break the fourth wall or whatever the hell that is. There is no space station set.
Why are you even talking about the fourth wall right now?
What
the
wall?
way that we so randomly bopped from one person to another, like, the camera would be able to
That's what I was
break
thinking.
the motor in the camera.
Well, you would induce vomiting in the audience.
Motor BS. Like, we wouldn't even be able to.
I was with you then.
Put a human being on his camera and only do one head at a time, depending on who's talking.
We did that last week.
No. You put a human. Thank you. Exactly. Thank you. I appreciate. Yep. Exactly. Much like that. Holy crap! What is happening? For the love.
We did that last week. I was running camera last week. We would do head shoulder shots last week, and then when it was a group.
But when it was a group, you go to a wider shot.
Yeah.
You go to a 3-on. Right. What I'm saying, if you just do one person at a time, like one person's talking and somebody else jumps, which doesn't work as me trying to effectively show you this, with me only being the only person talking. You understand? Like when we're talking on top of each other and trying to go from like 1 to 1 to 1 to 1 to 1 to 1 to 1, the way that it was done in the 70s show, we would break the gyros. It would be ridiculous.
Although part of me wants to break the gyros and be ridiculous.
And yet at the same time, it would be like. The way that they do it, their conversation sort of flows from one person to the next anyway, which is
that's true.
It is held
we
not
definitely
the
don't do
in
that.
any way, shape, or form.
We definitely don't do that. All right, hang on, Jade. I'm going to fix your whatever fingers problem.
Your print.
Oh yeah.
Got it.
Yeah.
My fingers problem. Thank you.
Hand fingers.
You had hand surgeon?
Expensive pencil.
The camera would be like the talking stick, though.
What?
Yeah, that's true. Actually, so Chris Radcliffe and
hi, Chris.
And Jim Burr said,
hi, Jim.
One said nicely done, Dutta. The other one said, no, Dutta, stop. It's actually not Dutta. It's Lisa punching buttons today. In case you're wondering.
Yeah. Thank you,
Place
good
it
sir.
on the top first.
Wait, I got this. I got this. Wait.
Yeah, do you?
Do this
Are you sure?
first.
Because you yelled
This?
from the other room is the best.
Look at Lisa. Look at how.
Hi, Lisa.
Look at how big the room is compared to her. Look at how big the chair is compared to her.
Wow.
Good lord.
This is mean all the way around.
Done. Cool.
Stodge
Now
cam,
you can
yeah.
use it.
Oh my gosh.
Did I just blow your mind?
I think this is too fancy for me to hold in my grimy hands.
But it makes it much easier to actually be like, boop.
Can't you reach the top buttons?
Look at me. Wow.
Can she reach the top button?
Aww.
Oh my God, no.
The answer is no.
Oh man, that's hilarious.
Oh, wow.
I love it.
No, it's just not even
I
right.
have a new leaser on life.
I think I might have to go.
Boo. What's Fred Smith going on about?
Yeah, I'm gonna have to go.
Okay, bye, Jared. Thank you.
Pick him up.
Bye, Charles.
He's released. He's loose. Where do I put this?
At least it's good.
Just on the couch is fine. I'll take care of it.
Yeah, we'll figure that out later.
Yeah, just power it down for me, or just make the screen
The
be
lock.
off. Yep, there you go.
Yay.
Lucky.
Lisa.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Fred Smith said, I'm back on board if you're going to talk about Bezos. Washington Post highlighting about Elon Musk's company stock price falling and the U.S. government opening more investigations on SpaceX. Well, it's not... first off, I can't comment on any of that. But yeah, I'm with Mike on that one. Right? I mean, it's just noise. Right?
Yeah.
I mean, I can't talk about it, so I have to defer to you.
I mean, I don't know. I mean, I feel like this whole new investigations thing, people are blowing it out of proportion, because when I first heard about this investigation, it wasn't necessarily, we want to drug test Elon Musk. It was just to make sure that both Boeing and SpaceX were being compliant with, the drug-free compliance laws and, whatever, doobly-doo it is with that. And then I feel like other news media outlets have picked up on that and are just like, oh, NASA's drug testing Elon Musk and like blowing it out. I don't understand where it's going, because I'm hearing different things and I don't think it's a big deal. And honestly, this may or may not have, this whole investigation, I feel like, just my personal opinion, probably has a lot more to do with Boeing than it does Elon Musk.
Does it? Really?
I don't know. Well, that's the thing. They didn't say why this is happening, because other than third-party news media being just like, oh yeah, this is all because of Elon Musk's erratic behavior. Then why are they doing the investigation on Boeing? Like, why are they doing it on both Boeing and SpaceX? This is either just a compliance thing that they just needed to get out of the way and isn't for any reason in particular, or might have something to do with a lot of the mismanagement and different problems that have been coming out of the different reports, especially out of Boeing lately, and their work on the Space Launch System. So I don't know. That's what I just personally feel like. It might have more to do with Boeing, if there's even a reason at all. This might just be standard procedure.
Neuropilot said the thing is that Boeing has had a lot of lapses of drug-free policy across Boeing Defense and Space Systems. So I wasn't aware of that. So all right,
yeah, all right. I didn't know that. Yeah.
All right, there you go.
And then probably too. But yeah. So
yep. Lisa, oh my God, the string vest theory. String vest theory. That's hilarious. Lisa needs a pointy stick like a cosmonaut. Which for those who don't know, on the Soyuz capsules, they spent NASA spent a lot of money figuring out the human interaction part of like Apollo and making sure that the dials and everything were within reach and that they could be readable and they could get to everything. And the Soyuz, the Russians they're like, here's a stick. To this day, when you watch a Soyuz go up, they've got like a stick and they're like, with a stick.
They scratch their back.
It's why develop a pen that can write upside down when you could have a pencil?
Yes, but I hate that because it's all wrong.
It's all wrong.
It's all wrong.
It's absolutely all wrong. You don't want you don't want sharpenable pencils in space.
Also, does anyone know how much money? Anyone know how much money NASA actually spent on developing the space pen?
$0. Thank you, Fisher.
Yeah, thank you, Fisher Space Pen Company thingy. Although they did pay for those pens.
Yes.
Exactly $1 each.
Yep.
And if you like the space pens, you can head over to shop.tmro.tv and buy your own.
Not in the store right now.
That's cool. Or head over to Fisher.
Not in the store. Sorry. They're actually in a box on the floor. I have a new shipment of them, but we haven't. We have laser etched space pens. Yeah. Cool. Space pen. Jim has a space pen. I love this. Like, that is my favorite writing utensil. When I have to sign things,
it's pretty good.
I use my Fisher Space Pen. Also space. Also, I like to reward the Fisher Pen Company because he, out of his own pocket, he paid for all of that R&D.
Yeah.
And like helped. He was like, we need to go to the moon.
Yep.
Pencil's not going to be a thing. Here you go.
Yep.
So yeah.
Nice. Good for him.
Yep.
He saw the big picture.
Awesome.
They're pens with frickin' lasers on them. Can I get a frickin' laser etched one?
Just to kind of address some of the other comments in the chat room about the whole drug testing Elon thing and him smoking weed. I mean, who cares? Who cares if he does or not? That's probably where he gets all of his good ideas.
No, I'm going to end with who cares. That topic's done and dead. Yeah, who cares? I just got a single chortle out of the control room. A very loud one. Let's see here. Moon is Square wants to talk about BFS, how it'll get back from Mars. I think spaceships should be base ships, making a scaled mini BFS. I mean, are you talking like
I guess they're not doing
an
that
Aldrin,
anymore. Yeah,
like an Aldrin orbiter or Aldrin cycler? I mean, is that what you're saying? Oh yeah. So we'll come back to that because everyone's like, eh. Chris said, speaking of pens, how did the iPad upgrade work for you guys today?
Swell.
Yeah, you like it?
Yeah, I loved it.
Yeah,
It's
you
better
like it?
than like balancing my computer. You know,
Yeah,
not bad. Not bad.
I prefer my computer. This is like hurting my wrists holding this up.
Oh, well, all right.
And
Get a
otherwise,
giant
I'm down
pop
like
socket.
this the whole time, and that's hurting my neck. So no, I prefer
Like that.
sure whatever that was.
That was my shoulder.
Okay.
Gross, right?
Good one.
Thanks. Let's see here. The chat room's still on that. Yeah. Yeah. Are we winding down? I liked it, by the way, Chris. It's nice because it has a good feel to it. It's I think a lot easier actually to like smack with the. I think the pen makes it easier. Like when you're trying to highlight
It does.
things.
You're right.
Yeah,
Yeah,
you're
yeah.
like boop 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 boop.
Getting in there in that tiny little circle.
Big fat fingers, Ben. That's why.
Yeah, big fat fingers, big fat head, but tiny ears, very small ears, very small ears. The other nice thing is we can put this into this mode. Our rundown can be put in this special mode where we can actually scroll through it really quickly and easily. There you go. So we can just kind of blah 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 like that, which we weren't able to really easily do before. At least on the other side, you can't, like on a computer, you can't just do that, and it doesn't work with a mouse either. You have to like arrow up and down in that mode, and that's not viable. But on the iPad, it's really great.
Vax headroom. We can now print Ben some bigger ears.
Thanks, Vax. That's great, Vax. Let's see here.
Wait, Marty the Martian says you actually miss listening to Jared typing.
Nope. Also, I like the So tomorrow's all about a bright, optimistic view of the future, right? So it's about getting excited about tomorrow and so talking about the things we're doing today to make it better tomorrow. And we were actually, Stoge, Carrie Ann, and I last night were talking about how these are devices of the future from the past. In that, when you watch Star Trek The Next Generation, they did a really good job of like imagining kind of what this would be like. They got a few things wrong, but like in the 80s, they figured out that this is what we were going to do, and it's truly amazing. And this particular iPad in this shape, in this form, with the pen and everything, the way this works like this, it feels like the future to me, and so I like having it on set as opposed to
I
a
just
bunch
need
of.
I need it to be like this. That's what I need.
Yeah, I can get you a thing.
Because
like that.
this is hurting.
Yeah, we can get you a little stand thing. They make little stand things.
It sucks a lot.
Okay, I can get you a little stand thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Everyone needs a pad.
Because I thought about doing this, but like.
By the way,
it just makes
the
it
Destructor 1701 was asking me where I got this shirt. I actually got it in New York, where the Space Shuttle Enterprise is being displayed. So to get one, you might have to go there yourself. He was asking earlier. I don't even know if Destructor 1701 is still around or not. But
So Destructor 1701 is always around, whether he is or not.
It's true.
It's the great thing about Destructor.
Peter Quinn said a keyboard type stand. I'm actually very, very opposed to us typing back to you in the chat room. We should be having so typing is the only way in which you can communicate with us, but we can actually speak and have a conversation back with you. And if we are typing back to you, then why are we on camera at all?
Sure, but like today was a situation where I had to leave for an undetermined amount of time because of an issue that I had at work that I could have handled while still being on air.
No, you should not. No, we should stop and you should go take care of that. Otherwise, you're not participating in the show. We should stop. If you have a thing that you need to take care of at work, by the way, it's true of anyone, we will stop the show for you. That's okay. We're an internet show. We can do that. But if you're not focused on what's going on in the show, that shouldn't be occurring. We should actually be having this conversation and be focused on what we're doing. So it's okay to stop the show and make that happen. What we did, I think, was the right call. Anyhow, opposed to keyboards.
Jimber, Space Mech, I wish your background set had an orbit. Not sure what you mean by that.
Actually,
like it had,
I think...
like something like orbiting around the moon or around the Earth or something?
I kind of almost prefer your background to be black, but more on the other set. I'm not sure here. I don't know. Undetermined.
Undecided how to do things. I've been experimenting the past couple shows in this format with which background I like better. And this is the one I like the best so far, but I mean, even just... Yeah.
I think, I mean, I don't disagree, and I like the idea that you're experimenting, so I would, keep playing. I don't dislike it. But black doesn't feel like it'd be right either, right? Because then you're just a giant black slab, and that's not.
Yeah, it made sense in the other room because I kind of blended into the room there. It almost looked like I was there.
You know what we could do,
or maybe we need to do. There was a discussion in the TMRO community about getting a glass plane. We could do like the Tupac hologram.
Come with me,
Pepper's Ghost.
Hail Mary. Sorry.
Yeah, Pepper's Ghost. Yeah, thank you. I forgot what it was called.
So
Tupac.
Thank you, Jade.
Actually,
Did you freak out with that happen?
Are you kidding me? I still remember exactly how I felt when I saw that on YouTube. I mean, I wasn't there, but you know.
My God. I was watching it live on YouTube because I was like one of the first like YouTube live events ever too. Broadcasting that oh my gosh, which conference was that?
That was Snoop Dogg. Wasn't that Coachella?
Coachella, yes, it was Coachella. Thank you. Yeah, and when Tupac comes out on stage, it's 2012. I don't know if you've ever listened to Illuminati, but that's exactly when he said that he was going to come back. And so here he is, and he's like, "What's up, Coachella?" I freaked.
And him and Snoop are just like back in the old days. Oh man, that brought a tear to my eye. I'm sorry. Whew.
But then like 30, 45 seconds in, you're like, wait a minute, he's moving weird. There's something off with it. It still looks crazy.
Yeah, once you look at it too long.
Dang it. People called it a hologram, and that drives me crazy. It is not a hologram. Nope. It is a Pepper's Ghost effect. Ooh, it is a two-dimensional plane that you can kind of, sort of, not really actually interact with. Sort of, kind of. But yeah, it's just a really advanced Pepper's Ghost effect. I actually have done a similar effect, and I know the material we can get to do that exact effect here in studio. We could probably just hang it from the grid up above, and we just need a super short throw projector. You have to come from this direction though, so we'd have to drop something back over there.
And then using the black background, it would look right, and it would actually be transparent through the black background.
It's mostly I would say it's more translucent than transparent. But potentially.
Especially with loose light catching the edge on.
Yeah. Well, so it would have to be. We would make it extra tall.
Okay.
So you wouldn't be able to see the edge on camera, because that will ruin the illusion. Yeah. The concern, this light would be absolutely a concern, but I don't know if you can tell, but there's a black backing, so we can rotate the black backing so that it's
okay.
So wherever we need to cast a shadow, I'm air quoting shadow, we might. I've been actually thinking about this after the community post. I actually read the community stuff. I don't always answer everything, but I do legitimately go through there and I read everything. And it was an interesting idea, and I thought it'd be really cool. But for that to work, you would have to go to a pure black background, because then it just simply won't project.
Yeah.
Yeah. It'd be cool.
Yeah. Orbit 12, maybe Orbit 13. We'll see. Maybe.
Yeah, I don't know what I'm going to do for Orbit. It's like this upgrade kind of feels like an Orbit 12 upgrade. Also, we got the moon tables. I like the moon tables. This is all Carrie Ann, by the way. So these new chairs,
beautiful.
The moon tables, all this fun jazz. This is all her. A little bit of Lisa trying to convince me to do it. Yeah. West Elm. Yep, West Elm.
Cool.
Chris, I mean, yeah, exactly. I mean, not exactly. Well, I mean, Colton, I suppose 15 years, kind of. But yeah, it takes a lot of practice.
Oh, you're saying as two hosts capable of both talking to the camera and typing to the chat?
Yeah, and as someone, he says, and I say that as someone who's not capable, so there's that.
Yeah, it creates a split brain kind of thing, almost, where you're kind of half focusing on what you're saying to the chat, and then you're half focusing on what you're saying to the camera, and you can tell, and it's bad. So yeah, I just want it. Like, there's no reason for that. We can do this. We can just talk. We can answer your questions. We can tie you back into the show. And when we chat, when we're typing, then you're not actually a part of the show. You're not actually participating live. Like, your comment doesn't make it on air. No one else knows what's going on. It's this weird little side conversation, and it takes away from the show, in my opinion, as opposed to adding to it. And so that's why I'm kind of against. I'm using very broad strokes here, but that's why I'm generally against it. What's Moon Cafe hype from Scrap Cat?
I don't know.
Oh, I think it's from Tickle Stuff. Carrie Ann is gradually making her ideal cafe. Moon Cafe.
Moon Cafe would be pretty freaking sweet.
Be pretty cool.
Yeah.
That would be rad.
Yeah. Would you make the coffee from the water on the moon, or would that kill you?
Oh, I thought you meant like a cafe here that's just lunar themed.
Well, I've actually thought about doing like a space station, spaceship coffee bar cafe kind of thing. I thought that'd be really freaking cool. And then you'd use it. Neato. You'd also use it as a gathering place for launches. So if you wanted to get together and
live stream it on like a thing.
Mm-hmm. Yep, I thought that'd be really cool.
That would be neat.
Mm-hmm. Launches into like sciencey things and just
So like Wavelength Brewery, except here and with coffee.
Yeah.
Yeah, basically yes. Yep.
And would the cups be those espresso space cups?
No, actually, so. For those who don't know, I can say this because the bottom of the coffee menu. Because I made it. It's not actually company policy or anything, right?
That's a no.
I'm going to anyhow. So when I made the menus for the barista bar at Company X, I made the menus for the company. The old menus are actually going away. So at the very bottom, I put a little thing, and it said, this station is equipped with cups designed for 1G only. Microgravity cups are available in all departing spacecraft. It says that at the bottom of the menu.
Nice.
Yeah, exactly. So I would do something probably similar in the Space Cafe of being like, hey, we're in 1G, so you get 1G cups. But if you want a microgravity cup, or we make them available for sale kind of thing, right? But like, you don't want to use a microgravity cup in 1G. That would be a really horrible experience.
And Vogon said restaurant at the end of the universe. That's called that. There's a cafe at Griffith Observatory called the Cafe at the End of the Universe, and
it's not a very good cafe.
Wait, you don't got to tell us. I work there.
Do not.
It's really not good, and it's very expensive.
You didn't want to use a 0G cup in 1G?
I mean, you really kind of wouldn't want to.
Why?
It's too much weird surface area, and like it's going to be hard to drink out of.
Which kind of 0G cup are you thinking of?
Well, you can do the ones that have the really hard, sharp edges, or you can do the ones that have the spirals that go up. Both would kind of suck on 1G.
It's called a bag.
There's the other one.
What's the other one?
Yeah, it's called a bag.
Like
it's
an
called
elementary school.
It is called a bag.
Like the milk bag.
Capri Sun.
Pouch.
It's a Capri Sun for space.
Yeah, man, I hate to use that. That'd be terrible.
Like those boxed wine bags.
Yeah, but you would have to like suck your hot coffee out of a straw then.
No, right. Right. Those are different, and they're not really considered to be cups per se. But there's the other one that was on, it looks much more, well, it looks like a shiwi, actually.
Yeah.
Right?
The one that Christina, I can't remember her last name. It's Sebastian. Anyway, the Italian astronaut who brought the espresso machine
Samantha
up.
Cristoforetti.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Yes.
Thank
like
you.
that. I mean, that it looks like a weird cup, but it still looks like
a
It
cup.
doesn't have the
drinkable
structure
cup.
inside?
No.
It's
It has
not
a
3D printed like Sam's Space Martini.
This one?
Yeah, that one. It just looks like a weird.
That's the one I was thinking of.
Right.
Yeah,
that's
that one would actually work, and you're not wrong. It looks like a shiwi.
right.
You've seen it?
Excuse me for a couple of minutes.
Mike's out.
Right.
Right. So I mean, like that one would be. It looks weird, but like you could use that in 1G, no problem.
Yeah, that would work. That would work.
All right. Cool. I got Ben to concede.
Terrence says, I learned more from After Dark than .Space. Oh, that's sad.
Okay.
Oh, that makes me sad. Front wrap.
But otherwise, yeah, Capri Suns is a good assimilation of drinking out of a bag here on Earth. Or like the collapsible water bottles that you can get with like a sports cap. It's designed slightly differently because you can like take off the cap and refill them or whatever. But once the cap is on, if you, in theory, never break that seal, right? Like it's a collapsible bag that you're drinking out of, essentially.
Yeah.
It's an extremely similar.
Yeah, they've got those for backpacking a lot.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah. I think it'd be fun.
But, yeah.
Yeah, space saver bottles.
It'd be themed a lot like this, like the Station 204 stuff. I view it as being kind of the opposite of what a traditional coffee bar is. Like
so if you were making the coffee bar, you're saying?
Yeah. If I'm making the coffee bar, I would not make it like most of these are like wooden, outdoorsy kind of things with bunches of books, and I would be like, yeah, no, here's an iPad and a stark white, structure.
Very sterile.
Very sterile, but still like kind of cool, like me.
You're neither
Are you
sterile
self-described
nor cool.
as sterile and cool?
Yes,
No.
I'm self-described as sterile.
The entire
and cool.
audience knows that's a lie.
What? No.
Kind of like me.
Well, they know you're not cool, so if you're going to associate those two, they're just also going to assume that you're not sterile.
Oh no! Which is a personal choice. Most
Absolutely.
times.
Oh God. Do it.
Say it.
Yeah.
Jan said, so when can we expect tomorrow the ASMR session?
I feel like that's whenever you want it. Oh my God, it's so gross. Take my earbud out.
I am being talked to by millennials saying ASMR is the best thing ever, and I'm like, nope.
Okay, so I'll be honest. As much as I like to make weird noises, what the heck is it? Is it just like a really high, like a very sensitive mic next to noises that you just are kind of satisfying to hear?
There are a bunch of different triggers that you can have. Like, so a lot of people, for example, I listen to GB ASMR on YouTube. GB is amazing. And a lot of the stuff she does is like 2 mics, so like you get that binaural audio, and like she'll take a makeup brush and like she'll softly brush the microphone, so you get like this weird sound. And oh, that's funny. I'm gonna go to that. Tomorrow ASMR is Jerry typing. That's funny because typing is also another trigger that people can have.
Not the way he types.
I mean, it could be.
No.
Everyone kind of has different triggers, I guess.
It's not my fault if people are wrong.
Like whispering. Whispering is another trigger. There's a whole bunch.
Is it supposed to induce like relaxation or like?
Yeah. So a lot of people use it because it helps them sleep, it helps them relax. Yeah, and if you're like lucky, sometimes it can also induce like a goosebumps feeling for you. Like for example,
quite sensual.
That's exactly what I said.
Why the would I want that?
That's exactly what I said.
Yeah. We're on the same page.
Oh yeah. No, and
goosebumps sounds absolutely disgusting and terrible.
It's
so
like good type of goosebumps. Like if you've ever heard someone amazing sing and you get these like weird tingles of like, oh my god, that's amazing.
I don't call that goosebumps.
That's the feeling.
No.
A, I don't get that, and B, I don't want that.
And this, I watched videos of this, and it is the exact opposite of white noise to me. Like, I get white noise. It's a plain field. There's nothing for your mind to latch onto. This shit is all shit that I am triggered biologically to need to pay attention to. Like, mom's voice, a hairbrush, a thing.
Pickle crunching?
Yeah, it's like, that's a sharp noise. That's a thing. That is a trigger that I need to pay attention to because it might mean more.
Somebody says it's like when you use a scalp massager. I hate that feeling too.
Oh,
absolutely terrible. I think it's the worst thing ever.
Feeling.
It makes my follicles hurt.
Yeah, no, I can't.
Yeah.
I like head rubs, like with hands. No, not even that.
Oh no, that's fine.
Like
I'm just still on the head massager, the metal fingery things. I'm like when you were a kid, and like crack an egg on your head and let the yolk run down things.
Is that a thing that kids did?
A Space Spinner in 1986.
Not officially doing it, but you would.
That.
Yeah.
I was like, I guess I grew up at a different time.
Wow, the Tomorrow Crew is wired differently. I love the ASMR goosebumps. Yeah, to each their own. It's not our
it's
shtick.
Definitely hitting it's a growing but relatively small population. There are people who clearly that these triggers are pleasurable for whatever reason, and so I can appreciate appreciate that for what that is. It is decidedly not every single human being on this planet by any means. I've tried multiple ASMR videos with multiple different kinds of, whether it's food sounds or item sounds or sure, but that's exactly what I'm saying. Like, and I don't like any of them. And the whispering thing is like, it's all mouth noise to me, and I can't do it because it's not. It's just not pleasurable.
That's
to
okay.
me
I will say this: I love acoustic music, but the one thing that always used to grind my gears.
Love the word you're looking for?
Yeah. Okay. Do I need to remind you? Unplugged sessions, Nirvana. All apologies. But one thing as amazing as it is, you can hear Kurt Cobain's mouth squishies, which I don't mind now. But like when you're really listening to it, it's like it gets distracting. Yeah. Like you guys can hear mine right now, I'm sure, now that you're thinking about it, and I'm sorry. I wish I had a drier mouth.
Yeah, Jimber's asking, do you use headphones? Yeah, typically.
That's important, yeah.
Yeah, you should.
I don't get the same effect if I don't have headphones on.
Really?
Yeah.
Tickle Stuff says, Ben Goofs buns when huskies howl. I do want a husky.
No, they don't howl, they go ow.
Yeah, they ow. They don't
Ow.
howl.
Okay, so.
Not sure what happened there. So moving this conversation.
Jane and I are accidentally the same person.
My bad. Our bad.
Yeah.
You guys like chill hop music, or have you heard any chill hop music?
Now, okay, hold on. What?
No.
This isn't going to be like.
Yeah, I'm gonna
like
throw my
trap stuff,
favorite mix into the chat here.
Wait, you can link it.
While he's doing that, Scrap Cat says, so Ben, being patron of Twitch for a great many channels, while it goes against the idea of flowing show, donation alerts, follow alerts, subscription alerts, any chance to expand more in Twitch? Unknown. A majority of our audience comes to us from YouTube. So if we were to cater to a specific audience, it would probably be YouTube first. I go back and forth in the idea of being on all of the platforms. So right now we're on YouTube, we're on Twitch, we're kind of on what's the Twitter one? Periscope. I think we're on Periscope at least. I think some of them fail. We're on Facebook. And the advantage is that whatever platform you may have been in, you might accidentally stumble across us, which I think is potentially a good thing. The downside is we're taking it and we're spreading it out over multiple platforms now and making it actually quite a bit more complex to chat and to have interesting conversations. As we grow, that actually can work to our advantage so that you don't have one giant chat room that's just a flurry of weird activity and you can't follow any of it. You're broken into a series of smaller chat rooms and kind of having independent conversations. So that might actually work out in the future, but... Anyhow, as for Twitch and the one-off subscriptions, we were talking about that last week with YouTubes and people who do the super chats, and we love and appreciate the super chats. Tim Dodd, the Everyday Astronaut, did a super chat today, I believe. But I don't want to stop the show to thank someone for a super chat. And it also, yeah, I do appreciate that I very much appreciate that there is a contribution there. But what about all the other people who are contributing via Patreon who do that week after week? Why don't they get a personal shout out in the show other than their name on a slate then? It doesn't feel fair to them.
Yeah. Jan off of YouTube says Tool. The answer is always Tool.
Tool! Yes! Wholeheartedly agree.
Yeah. Anyways, sorry. What?
A couple people have heard of chill hops. That makes me happy.
Not that Sound of Silence by Disturbed is bad, but the answer is always Tool.
It is Tool.
Maynard, at least.
Yeah.
I like a perfect circle.
I love a perfect circle.
Yeah.
I love me some Pussifer. But
very different.
I gotta go hardcore Tool. Yeah. That's right. That was a sentence that I just said. There's more to follow. Ooh! Tool!
That was me. Sorry.
Yes.
I'm not my name in the chat, so.
Yeah, I'm not either. I got kicked out.
No, Jimber is Tool, the inside joke I missed. Tool is the name of a band.
Tool is Tool.
It's the name of the band.
The band.
The band.
Life,
Tool.
the universe, and music.
Yeah, Tool is Tool.
Wow.
Now, I would ASMR, did I say that correctly? The heck out of the bass intro to Schism, though. Like, to hear that all up in my ear holes, ooh, I'll get goosebumps in the best kinds of ways.
But it's white noise.
No, it's not.
Yeah.
It's
feedback.
It pulls me.
Yeah, but they're
you
using
have it on
feedback.
repeat, I suppose.
What they've got is like a guitar, like their
I guess it
guitar is
depends how
playing
long
into
you
their
listen
amp.
to it, though. Like if you're listening to it for like an
Feedback
hour,
is not
then-
white noise. I would argue. So white
Okay.
noise and pink noise.
Okay. All right.
Yeah,
it's not quite like just blank.
And theoretically, can't anything eventually become white noise if you listen to it long enough?
No. So I believe white noise actually is so there's white noise,
There's
pink
a differentiation, between the different colored noises.
Yeah, and they're actually and there
How
actually is like a
synesthesia
specific wavelength and frequency
Sounds
that
a little
all of these things run on. So there's a very
It's a little acidy. I'm not gonna lie.
But I
But
think
science,
I think to your point though, you can have noises that you hear so often that you automatically just sort of eliminate. I think is kind of more what you're referring to.
Yeah.
Which sometimes it can be considered white noise or is looked at as being white noise, even though it's not.
Got it.
Does that
or
kind
as
of
Elon Musk says, CMYK noise.
Yeah.
Then there's the brown note.
That's a different thing.
Isn't that a South Park
You
thing?
can sample white noise and turn it into
real
tones, and then it is music.
Yeah, so I believe Jim Burr is correct. So white noise is basically everything all at once. Pink noise is actually a very specific thing that we'll use to test frequency response of many different things, but I use it for speakers. You'll run pink noise through a speaker, and then you use a very finely tuned microphone, and it will actually tell you how accurate those speakers are because it's actually all of the frequencies at the same time, and your little graph will be like, actually, you're a little bit misbalanced this way. Yep. Or like sometimes you'll see like spikes or weird areas, and then you go back through and you bring those areas back into alignment so that now your array is actually working, across the board. And then once you've got a flattened array, then you brighten it up or whatever you need to do.
Mm-hmm. Pink is a select for the most audible to the human ear.
Sure, that would make sense as to why that was chosen for speakers and whatnot.
All right.
Yeah. So yeah.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Well, all right.
All right, did we just kill the show? Are we done?
Yeah.
We're
Yeah.
done? Yeah, all right. Thank you, everyone. It was a lot of fun. I hope you guys enjoyed it. And
real quick, if I can, real quick, I do have started a new channel, youtube.com/spacemike, and I put up a new video last week that was a little tribute to the 20th anniversary of the Zarya module of the International Space Station. Just put some links in the chat room there, so definitely go check that out if you'd like to hear all about that. Talk quite a bit about the history of it. So.
Nice.
A lot of fun.
Chris Radcliffe says the show. Whoops, I can't do it. It's going too fast.
It's going too fast.
The show
Yeah.
landed quickly, like an ion-powered plane.
Landed gently.
Yes.
All right. See you, everyone. See you next week. Bye.
Thank you.